What is up, everybody? We took a week break. Unfortunately, I got really sick. Normally, the show is normally on at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time on Thursdays, unless we have a major, which we both travel to. In that case, it moves on to Wednesday. Crimson Blur, what is up?
Sup, homies? I'm happy to be back. It was unexpected not having Tufkins, ready for last show. I'm sorry that you were so sick, but that now makes us even. We've both now caused for exactly 1 week of skips, because I think I was also sick on one of the weeks in the past, so now we're even. I still think it's remarkable, our consistency. I did not expect that from either of us, but it's actually, this show's a lot of fun for me. I love talking to people, but I just like talking to applicants. It's just a really relaxing experience.
Dude, I mean, I think we've turned this idea for the longest time where we're like talking until the wee hours of the morning. I'm like, dude, we should really just like film this or something. People want to hear what we talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's actually been proven to be true. Others might think that no one wants to hear what we want to talk about, but reality says that people do. So it's been fun, and we have a lot of topics to talk about, matter of fact, because we have missed a few weeks, and it's kind of good that we did, because as I talked about in episodes past, September is probably the driest part of this whole calendar year. And if you look at 2016 all throughout, this September is going to be the weakest month that we'll have. Now, that doesn't mean Melee dying or anything. In fact, October, November, December are going to be probably the best October, November, December we've ever had. So we're in for a really good end of the year. But now we kind of cover the smaller events that have happened in the last 2 weeks, as well as look forward to what's going to be a really exciting finish to determine where everything will shake out in SSBM rank, who will end up ranked number 1 by the end of the year. All these different storylines that are developing as we march towards that final ranking.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the first year, I can really safely say that from January all to December that we are just, running strong the whole way through with events.
Yeah, well, I mean, this September I think is I wouldn't call it strong, but
I mean, collectively, like as a whole.
Yeah, we did good. I'd like to take some credit for it.
You have to give a lot of credit. I mean, I don't think people really know that, you do a lot of coordination with TOs, and if there are voids, you do your best to fill it, and I don't think many people do that. So I have to give you a little bit of shout out. Not to circle jerk ourselves a little bit too much, but I think that goes under the radar too much. You would expect with all these events that there would be more conflict and more events that overlap, but we haven't had too much of that, and that's because, you're on top of that.
Yeah, I think ever since I started taking over that, we started just doing it in the first place, sometime in last year, it's been spaced out much better. Now, obviously there's still a lot of stuff, and 2017, there's one thing I want to talk about. I've been mostly taking in 2017 events and planning, looking forward into next year. But 2017 is going to be crazy. 2017 is actually frightful. Like, TOs, if you are planning something and you haven't already talked to me, tweet it out already. You probably should, because those weekends are going away quick. And people need to start planning their events farther in advance, because the smart TOs are. The smart TOs are now thinking more than 1, 2, 3 months in advance, because they want to lock up that weekend and making sure there's no conflict, right? And I think that's also a really good sign, because what we had in the past is TOs, they'd announce maybe 1 month before, 6 weeks before, 2 months before, because it wasn't really that big a deal. They knew that, they could, right? There wouldn't be a conflict if they did. But nowadays, you really have to plan much farther in advance, simply to avoid conflict. And I think that's actually a really good progress to the scene, because now the players know the schedule a little bit. That means announcements also come earlier, right, as well. And I think that's really good.
Yeah, and so I'm definitely excited. I have to really consider, where I'm going to use my vacation days, or if I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and take a lot more red eyes.
Yeah, man. Days off is always a struggle. I remember living that life. It is tough, but The cool thing is you can always pick and choose which ones you want to go to. Smash doesn't really ever really go anywhere. I think there's always, of course, the can't miss events, the ones that are like them, and then there's like the big regional events where like, hey, this is going to be the biggest one in Canadian history, Texas history, whatever. And if you're from that local area, it's also really good to go to. Smash has a unique problem and benefit, which is that when you look at saturation in esports, you usually look at it almost entirely on the content side. So games which are dominated by invitationals, they speak of saturation on the content side. So they say that, hey, we have too many tournaments. There are conflicts on every weekend. There is too much to watch. No clear storylines, things like that. Like there's every event's trying to be a championship, things like that. That's something that's spoken about often in esports with a closed system for their pros. And many games, it's been credited to be a reason why many games have declined in the past. Like some people do say that one of the core reasons behind StarCraft 2's decline was because of oversaturation. Whether you were there or not, there's a lot of people in that community that do think that was one of the driving factors.
Yeah, one of many reasons.
But the interesting thing is we have a different quandary, which is that, okay, there's the content half of it, but the fact of the matter is that our interest doesn't just rely on stream view. It isn't just in stream viewership, but it's also in in-person attendance.
Hey.
Tav, I was up roll. I was saying something.
Sorry, I was trying to fix your camera.
Oh man.
Sorry to cut you off midway.
Do you remember what I was saying last?
You were talking about like StarCraft and how we had a unique problem.
Oh, okay. So StarCraft. So what makes us unique is that, let's say you live in Texas and you look at the tournament calendar and you don't feel, even though they had probably the best 2016 of any region, right? Probably a better 2016 in Texas alone than the whole scene was in 2010 or 2009, right? Like you compare the entire scene tournament calendar to Texas in 2016, and you would take Texas in 2016, locals and all. And so if you live in Texas, you're like, no, I don't feel oversaturated at all. If I want to go to, and I'll say tournament, I can, but matter of fact, this tournament calendar feels pretty good right now. I have something to go to every month, right?
Yeah.
And that's because many players, and if you look at the in-person attendee migration patterns, they will go to the big houses in Genesis of the world, the super majors, the pinnacle of competition. But the rest of the events, they'll drift to stuff in their region, local area, out like adjacent regions, things like that. And so for them, what saturation really means is if, let's say, they have two Texas majors in the same weekend, and that doesn't really happen right now, right? So there's always going to be a natural conflict when we talk about scheduling between content schedules, content calendars, and local attendance needs, right? And as long as we designate the different tiers of events, we'll be fine. But ultimately, since we are so driven by esports content and tournament content, we can really never stop missing a beat. One of the things I notice, there's so much misinformation about viewership and really the numbers behind it all. It's amazing how few people do critical thinking on publicly, public reports that agency put out there, right? One of the things I noticed is that if we do go through lulls like we are in this September, we do lose some interest from viewers, right? Like, so a person who is an esports fan and has been getting into Smash, we don't give them anything to watch for a month. They don't have a home stream to go to. They don't have
Yeah.
many home streams to go to, so they just lose. They just don't watch Smash for a month, right? And that maybe lose interest in the esport entirely for them, right? So it is really important for us to keep it going, at least until we have any other form of content. So at the very least, I think that the reason why I put so much personal effort into a content calendar and a Smash calendar is because I think having a regular, steady flow of events that just never stops is a really is required to be a fan. In years past, we had stacked winters and stacked summers and nothing in between, right? And we had months in between. And I think the number one thing that I want to avoid, and I think the rest of the community leaders and TO should try to avoid, is when we go 2, 3, 4 weeks without anything, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, to add, like, sometimes you get the notion, like, is there a burnout or saturation, but then you quickly miss it if it's missing for, like, longer than a week.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we cry burnout, but the fact of the matter is that fans have nothing else to watch but tournaments. So when, our goal should be to not let them have nothing to watch for extended periods of time. Now, there's always something to watch, right? But it's about giving them something super quality to watch every weekend.
I mean, but even then, like, on random weekdays when, like, I'm not streaming, for example, I was sick this week, right? So I was like, there were moments where I was like, oh, like, there's no Smash to watch. I guess I'll watch World of Warcraft and watch people raid.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, my minutes watched on Twitch has never actually been my number one game has never been Smash, which is surprising. Now, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm always at events, so I mean, why watch it when I'm actually there? But I still watch a lot, right? I watch a ton, and it's part of my job. Like, I watch streamers to give them advice. I watch events. You guys see me in Smash chats all the time, but maybe you guys don't see me in maybe you guys don't watch other esports to know that I'm also in Dota and Hearthstone stream chats as much or more. And the main reason is because they simply have more content, right? I would watch more Smash if I could, but it's usually not there, and it's usually not there during European hours. So I think that's like a thing we've been getting better at, for sure. I think one of the big promising signs for 2017 going into it is just how good Europe has been, especially over the second half of the year and going into 2017. And if we can just figure out a way to build a schedule so that there's at least one good stream on at a time, even during weekdays, then we've made a lot of progress, right? And then we've given fans a lot to look forward to, right? And so that's like what I think one of the major goals of building a schedule like that is, and that's why when I speak of like weak Septembers like this, that's why it pains me so, because I know that this is kind of a lull that we are waiting until Big House.
Yeah, before the lulls were a lot longer.
Yeah, no. Before the lulls were 4 months. Like, guys, I'm making this complaint, but keep in mind that I would say 2 years ago, even this was after 2013, right? Like, we were pretty big already in like 2014, for example, but we did go 2-3 months without a really good event, or even like a pretty good event, right? And I think we'd lose fans at that time. I think we'd definitely lose fans at that time.
And definitely we lose potential new fans too.
Oh, especially, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what we have to aim for when trying to get market share.
So, I mean, speaking of recent events, we can just quickly. I don't want to spend too much time because I feel like the momentum kind of died on the events 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
I mean, I think the keynotes of Syndicate, West Ball's Armada. West Ball seemed to have a pretty, straightforward time, at least at this event, with everybody else. And I think, honestly, this was probably one of the best appearances we've seen of West versus Armada in like a really long time.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You took games.
And it looked like a lot of those games were actually winnable for him had he done, a few things better. So it's nice to see.
Mm-hmm. The Syndicate overall, a few interesting results, and I think, of course, the West Balls Armada ones, what everyone's going to talk about. But for the most part, I mean, It's I think a lot of it was expected on the other half of it. I think the one result I think I was most surprised by was just how poorly Trifassia. He did lose to Zaghetto and losers. His best win was Adam, and I think that at least he considers himself fourth best or fifth best in Europe. I think he considers himself fourth best, and if that's the case, he really should be doing far better than that. So I think that's a disappointing result for sure. Other than that, I think a lot of it was expected. Maybe Fuzziness doing as well as he did.
Yeah, Fuzzy did pretty well.
But Fuzzy did really well. He beat Professor Pro and over Triforce and ended up getting third. That's really impressive.
And he took Ice to Game 5. So he got fourth.
Fourth, you're right. Fourth, excuse me.
But he took really Ice to Game 5.
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive. Speaking of international tournaments, MacD won the Australian tournament, but have to give kudos to Spud.
Yeah, Spud, bro, dude. I think did his GoFundMe end up?
Yeah, it did clear. And he had ample time. And to be fair, just to give context, the Australia scene has been greatly supportive of the North American scene, especially, and they funded a bunch of players to fly over. So I'm happy that he got the money he needed because they have flown so many players over the years.
Yeah, I don't think our debt to Australia is quite paid with just one Spud, but at least the NA scene, and I hope it was mostly us, but doing that sort of support did give back a little bit. But yeah, the Aussie scene has been known for their crowdfunding efforts, for bringing international players out, and good on them. And I'm happy to see Spud coming. I think it'll be interesting to see how he does. Seems pretty good by all accounts, right? So
yeah, he beat Alex 19, so I'd say anywhere, just based on the few data points of cross playing, he could be as high as 30, and he could be as low as 75, 80. Just based on the 3 data points we have of him.
Yeah, and is he technically ranked first in Aussie/New Zealand?
He's the only one that's really taken a set off of a NA player.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know SD is really good. There's a few others, but to me at least, he's the one that stands out when I watch Australian events. So I absolutely think that he could do very well. Alex 19 is a good win. I think that of course if he had more opportunities to play against more opponents, he'd do even better. So just looking forward to meet him too.
It seems like the homie. His big claim out of everything is that he can make worse punts than me.
Yeah.
Which I think is a pretty lofty claim. So we'll see. He's going to come to SoCal too, so hopefully there's an event around that time as well.
Oh, when's he going to SoCal?
He didn't mention specifics, but he was planning to go to Big House and then after Big House make a short stop to SoCal for a few days.
Interesting. That's really cool. So people in chat are mentioning SA Nick and Dekar as other really good players in the Australians.
And I haven't seen Dekar play in a while, so I heard he retired.
Oh, that'd be a shame.
Yeah. Let's see. And then lastly, from 2 weeks ago, we had a bunch of other events, but I think the other one that's pretty notable is NorCal Loves Teams, which I was there. I was sad that I didn't get to see you.
Yeah, I couldn't actually be there on the Saturday. Busy. I think it was my birthday weekend, right? So I went.
Yeah, you were in SoCal that weekend.
Yeah. But I did stop by on the Friday before. I was looking forward to that event. I know that is Gloria's brainchild. She's awesome, and it looked like it went really well. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, so Shroom won the bracket. Needless to say, was very bizarre. Face roll, did beat PPU and Hugs, so it was a really good event for him.
Yeah, yeah. And NorCal doesn't often have many big tournaments outside of Genesis, so good to see another one up there. Looked like a really chill, fun tournament.
It was super chill.
Yeah, SJ did really well. Really cool to see like all the pictures from the event. Everyone looked like they had a lot of fun. So super sick.
What was it? Was there any other notes from the tournament? I can't think of any. I mean, Moon won the run back on PPU.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Moon won the Mark Ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I lost the Hugs, so good stuff to him.
That should be mentioned. That should be mentioned.
I think it's worth mentioning. Rumor has it though that had he lost that would have been a career-ending loss for him. So he really put his heart and soul into the win.
Oh, by the way, so he was playing on a friendly setup against Laudandis the Friday before it was the Friday before.
Yeah.
And he had a few not so nice words to say about you, and he even implicated me a little bit, but I thought that was unfair about your criticism. So I said very plainly, because he was playing Laudandis at the time, that and Laudandis agreed that since that he could swap places in the SSBM rank with Laudandis if he won that exact friendly. Laudandis considered by many to be a top 25 to 30 player, and Hugo considered by, at this point, everyone, it sounds like, a fringe top 50 player. And
no, I have to elaborate something. I specifically said just if you looked at the summer.
Wait, did you actually use the word fringe top 50? I thought you never said that.
I said he's like a borderline top 50 player if you just look at summer results. That's what I said. I didn't say for the year. I said for the summer, where that includes many bad losses. That's my statement. For the year, I'd give him 40, which I think is very fair.
Well, and can I just say, the fact that he was mad at me in any capacity actually triggered the hell out of me, because if people who've watched this show, and you know as well, I sit here and defend Hugo's honor over and over and over again. And I felt so unappreciated.
And to be fair, we've been saying like Hugo's bringing it back. Shine 2016 looked like a pretty, come around tournament. So we give credit when it's due.
Well, don't lump me in with you. I sit here, listen to your abuse, and defend him.
Yeah, you do. But to be fair, that initial tweet that triggered him, I had no involvement in. I didn't even make that post, and I somehow got roped into it.
It's not easy being an analyst, guys. It's not easy being an analyst. They'll all hate us eventually, and I can't wait for that day because we don't need any of them. Regardless, the point I wanted to make was that they were playing a friendly. This was a friendly for top 25. Whoever won that friendly between Laudandis and Hugs.
So who won?
Hugs actually won, and he won like by a lot. I think it was like a 2-stock.
Ooh, wow.
So sorry to tell you this, Tapikins, but Hugs just moved 25 placings up in the ranking and is now top 20.
So my loss doesn't look that bad then.
No, it doesn't look like that. See, that happened after he became a top 25 player.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense.
So that's fair. Connor, went off. It was pretty amazing.
Dude, the real guy who can't brings up a really good point. A couple months ago, I said I'd cry if Hugo won EVA. As in, I actually said I think Hugo might be the one person in the whole community, along with Ken, who I'd be happiest to see win like a super major. I said that on the stream.
You did. Didn't we also toss in Joey in that list?
Huh?
We also tossed in Lucky in that list too, right?
Yeah, I would love if Joey won that. I think that'd be great.
And I think Chillin would be up there.
I would love if Chillin winning would be great.
And he won grand finals over Lesson.
I actually think the internet would explode.
I think everyone would explode.
I think the internet might
if Chillin licensed Leffen diss track and put it on Spotify, he'd be a millionaire after that.
Oh my God. He should have already done that, by the way, because I would buy that many
I
times.
would, I'd play it all the time on Spotify if we're up on it. Is it up on Spotify?
That's a good question.
You know, they played it at the Twitch party after Shine at the bar. Remember that?
Oh, you're right. And he also rapped it.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the last tournament of the, there were a few others. There's a Midwest tournament. There's an SSS. I think this is worth noting too, right?
Yeah. There was an SSS also. Remind me what happened.
Wait, are you like playing around the narrative of surprise, or do you generally not know?
No, I know. But remind me what happened.
Mike Hayes, man.
My case won. Yes. Mike Hayes. Often people say he doesn't get enough credit. Those people include himself. And you know what? I think it's true. I think Mike Hayes doesn't get enough credit. He's way too good. I'd like. He got one on the board. And you know what? As we all know, winning an SSS is not easy, and it hasn't been done by many people in history. So, good for Mike Hayes.
You know what I have to give the analogy to? You played fantasy in like the mid-2000s, right? Basketball?
Yeah.
Like, you know how like you have the early pick and you have to get like, by default you'd have to pick Sean Marion?
You're saying he's the Sean Marion of Smash Brothers?
Like, most other people want to gamble on the guy that scores like 30 points or whatever, and they're like, oh, Sean Marion, 20 points, 11 rebounds, a little bit of everything. Like, he doesn't get talked about because, like, he's very vanilla, but he's consistent. Like, he consistently performs, like he'll get the random wins, like, once in a while against a top 15, which is good. He does very well against his tier players, but he also rarely gets upset at, like, majors. Aside from a few things.
It's true. Another thing people talk about Sean Marion about is just the horrible, ugly form on his shot.
Yeah, that's his Falcon punch that he carries with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing, right? There's some things where you just have to look away, but otherwise, no, he's just a solid, consistent, rock of a top 40 player. He's definitely, probably higher than that nowadays. So he's getting better and better. And to me, I think it should be super inspiring to anyone because I know there was a time where I was beating Mike Hayes right when he started coming back.
Dude, I was force-dogging him while talking on the phone.
Well, there you have it. I don't know why you remember that.
Because he used to come over to my place to train.
There was a period in time where this was probably my peak of skill, and Mike Hayes when he was just coming back. I was just destroying him. I was destroying him, and I feel like he's come so far.
Yeah, he has. Definitely. I don't know. I could be speaking hyperbole, but if we look at the last 2 years, I don't know how many people have worked as hard as Mike Hayes, other than maybe Face Roll. I can't think of another player.
It's hard to say. There's been some hardworking players for sure, but he's definitely earned it.
Yeah. So good stuff to him. He's on a very. Do you happen to have a list of who's won all the SSSs?
Yes, I do.
How many people have won?
Got one recently. Mike Hayes recently got one. I think those are the only two that got added to the list. It was Westball Johnny, Lucky, Sung, Eddie Mexico, Mango won the first one. Armada won one.
Muta King?
Muta King won one, correct. And Fly. And that's about it.
Fiction?
Oh,
you mentioned fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
Dude,
fiction.
Oh my god, those are so hard to win.
Very difficult to win.
Oh, SFAT too. We don't talk about that though.
Oh, we don't talk about that SFAT one.
Oh, they have to.
Guys, we don't talk about the SFAT one.
Ice?
Yeah, no. Huh?
Ice too, right?
Oh yeah, Ice won one. Jeez, Ice
Dude,
won.
you're handing them out like candy now.
Oh god, I'm not handing them out. Don't blame me, dude.
Ugh.
But yeah, so Ice is 1-1 now too. So that's really cool. I mean, I'm super happy for Mike. I know that was one of his goals in the game. So it's super impressive to see him get that far. I mean, you have to be lucky. Nothing easy about that.
You have to win 2 sets against Lucky.
He went 2 sets against Lucky, so that just goes to show.
It's kind of interesting though, because Lucky, I've still really good, but we didn't. The one thing I wish he had was that one like summer defining performance that the Johnny and the other players did. Hopefully, his time comes.
Yeah, it's hard to know where Lucky's place in the rankings is right now. Obviously, it's somewhere in the top 12-ish, 12 to 14-ish, somewhere in there. It could be higher or lower depending on what you think. But yeah, he needs a breakout win here or there to really finish up his year. Overall, it's weird with Lucky if you just look at Lucky's career. There have been moments where I feel like, okay, he's got momentum. Now he's going to start breaking through, but every time that happens, it feels like then we go another 2-3 months where we don't hear as much from him. So.
And so that's pretty much weekend 1, and then weekend 2, we had Kickstart, which was interesting. And by the way, if you're a TO, one of my biggest pet peeves, okay, you guys filled it out, thank God, for Kickstart 11. Please fill out your brackets.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's no excuse for that.
Like, that was like the challenge nightmare when you see like winners finals, grand finals, and like losers finals not filled out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Kickstart 11, very interesting results. West Bulls was strong weekend 1. I don't know what happened because Kickstart 11, from my understanding, although this time was a lot stronger competition. I usually thought of Kickstart as like kind of like a small regional, but it seems like a lot of people were there.
Well, because West was there, right?
Yeah, West was. I mean, there were a bunch of strong players.
Yeah, and a lot of players went out to play in it. Again, like I said, feels like we're talking more and more about Europe. The more the show goes on, there's always something good to watch over there. Matter of fact, I want to bring up one more tournament after this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we can just skip to it. I don't know if you saw this, but Maye actually took a set off Wes.
Was that the really small tournament?
Really small tournament in France, and I'll admit, it was very, very small. Even like you could see, Foster was literally sitting next to the guys, and they must have heard his commentary, like literally right next to them. So I mean, that naturally affects him. No matter what, I mean, it affects both of them. So, and Maya took a set. I was super hyped. That was super cool. Sear ended up getting 3rd there, so really, really interesting in that tournament. I don't even know the name of that event, but that's another one. That's another result that ended up happening. But back to Kickstart, because Kickstart was the bigger event. AMSA in winners beat Wes, and it wasn't even that close. It was 3-1, but if you watch the set, it really makes you wonder just how bad Wes's sheet problem really is. Right?
I mean, he almost lost it over in grand final and losers too.
Yes, it was really close. I think it was game 5 there. Like, it's to the point where as that set was going on, I was like, dude, I don't know if he's gonna win. Like, I lost a little bit of faith in West and losers, but he ended up pulling it out and climbing all the way back into grands. He luckily avoided AMSA in that. I do think AMSA is better than over against Falco. So I'm not sure if he would have won that run back. I really don't.
Dude,
know
you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go to Wes's place or wherever he plays, and I'm just going to stalk him and play Sheik until he, masters that matchup.
Yeah, so as a Sheik man, what do you think he's missing?
He just gives too many free hits, and I think that's the biggest issue.
Okay, but how does he give those free hits?
So, when Wes is on, top platform, for example, and he comes down and throws a dare, I know that's coming 9 times out of 10, so I just dash dance grab it. And because he initiates so much shield pressure, and because it's kind of like you're gambling rock paper scissors because Sheik has an air. If I can, find a wave dash out or an air that leads into a pin down, then I get a tech chase that can kill him. And when he opens me up, because most Sheiks SDI pretty well, he's only getting like 20%. But if he's incorrect on an initiation, then he can die. And so that's probably the main issue.
You're saying he's not playing the risk reward right?
Not at all.
Let's see. So maybe he should play slower? Is that
yeah, so like I pointed out in the stream, I did an analysis which I should put on YouTube. And the one thing that Mango really does is that he ensures before he makes an aerial onto Sheik that the Sheik is stationary and cannot do anything to counter that. Like whether they can wave dash out or near before the first shield hit that forces Sheik to stop. Mango absolutely makes sure that you can't move before it goes in. West will try to initiate when the Sheik can still move, and that can create problems.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing for him. And like they're like little things. Like he could play, like he beat Swedish at EVO, which a lot of people tend to forget. That's a pretty good win. And that's because, I asked him, like, what did you do differently? And he's like, I didn't give free hits anymore. So Swedish struggled. And it's just a matter of discipline. And because
he knows to agree.
It's kind of fool's gold because, like, sometimes, you get conditioned to believe certain things are a lot better than they are. So let's say West gets a cross-up dare and it leads to a platform combo and leads to, like, 70 damage and an off-screen. Like, I think sometimes West could get the idea that, like, hey, well, that's really good. I want to keep doing it when you have to just play at a slower pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's like my assessment, and I think those are fixable. So if I just like told them like, hey, like we play like 30 minutes, and then we stop and say like, hey, like this is what I liked about your pressure and your neutral. This is where I'm exploiting you. And if we kept working on it, I think he could be like unstoppable in that match because there's so many things he does well. He hits hard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's very improvable and very fixable.
I see.
So, I don't know if that was a little bit much, but I wanted to give a little bit of what I thought.
Well, we've been talking about it a bunch in the past about his matchup, but for a player of his caliber, it's odd to see him do so poorly against such a common character. And you know what? He still does get wins. Like, he did beat Over, he beat Swedish, like you said. That one time, though, he's still really negative against him.
Yeah.
So he's capable.
But like, I think that matchup's way more even in PAL because like the tag chasing is so much harder in PAL than it is in NTSC.
True. And the 5 dare change doesn't really change all that much.
Yeah.
So anyway, because he lost in winners, he had to play Ice in grands. Ice kept moving on, and Ice this time had 2 sets to figure West out. Right? He's like he got some time to figure it out, and in that first set, it really did look like he was doing just that. He was kind of going through the motions, trying to see some habits. Ended up getting 3-1, but he barely squeaked it out in set 2, and Ice actually beat Westball. That's not how it's been in the past.
I think for Ice, I think the pressure gets to him. So like you mentioned, having 2 sets definitely helps a lot because it's like, if I screw up this, I still have a chance, and I think he plays a lot more comfortable with that.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, it still went to game 5, and he ended up clutching it, so it's impressive to me, right?
Yeah.
I think it should be noted that like you look at this and you look at Syndicate, and you notice that like Ice is like clearly a tier above some of the other competition. He's got not only a skill advantage over the rest of the tier of players below him in Europe, but it feels has a really good beat on their habits. And I do think he's one of those players who pays attention to things like that. The guy that if you watch Kuroko no Basket, you guys will appreciate this. I think that Ice is Kisei. So I think
is what? I'm sorry.
Kisei. He's like a character in anime. And if you're a Kuroko no Basket fan, you're gonna love this. If you're not, listens anyway. And that character basically is really good at observing his opponents and also is really good at copying other opponents' abilities. So Ice. Whenever I watch him, I see a little bit of every player. Like yes, I don't see as much, unique stuff from him, but when he played Marth, he took things from Mewtwo King, took things from PP, he took things from everyone else, and he made it into his own, right? Like he's the guy who brought it all together. And you see the same thing in his Fox. You see so much of Leffen inside that Fox, right? You see so much of, what SFAT does in his Fox, and like there's a lot of different aspects that he definitely borrows from other players, and that he takes to his own. So when he's given 2 sets, I really do think he's such an observant person, and I think you have to be if you're in a weaker region like Germany, that he's able to take it all in, right? The players over time who have been able to succeed in regions without as active a scene have almost always been that type, right? The type of player who doesn't learn from simply experience through playing a lot, right? I'd categorize Mango in that category, right? He doesn't, sure, he's very observant, but part of the reason he's good is also because he's in SoCal, and he is the type of player who practices and gets good at the game and uses that time to experiment with high-level strategies, which he comes up on his own, right? That's just who Mango is, right? He finds ways to experiment even in high-level matches where other people can't. Whereas a player like Ice, or like let's say PP or many others, just watches the game, observes, takes it in, copies what he can, theorizes about the rest, and you really see it when you watch his style. And I think he could actually do that. That kind of player can do that mid-set too, right? They have such a strong theoretical understanding of the game. They could do it mid-set too. So it doesn't surprise me that when he's given 2 sets, he can really make that kind of adjustment.
It's really interesting to dissect Mingo because I get to talk to him a lot, and just the way he diagnoses his losses, and the way like we go like, okay, like what do you think about when you have to play Armada again? Like what do you need to do? And then like what are the adjustments he makes it so simple for me to understand, like what the weaknesses of his opponents are too, and where he can exploit them. And that's something like from our and our viewpoint, I think Ice kind of sees that in a very similar way. It's like, oh, I just gotta adjust these few things, and that's like a level beyond where like I can understand, because like if I play against him, like I don't even like, sure, I could do little things better, but like I don't have a game plan that's gonna cause me to win. Or I don't know exactly what adjustments I need to make. So it's interesting to see how they articulate at that level. Ice, definitely. I think the big thing for him, just kind of talking about Ice more, is the fact that, the perception. I think the perception of him being weak at unfamiliar matchups kind of needs to go, or the mid tiers is like kind of more or less, a myth at this point. I'm not sure if you agree with me there.
I'm not sure.
He beats Ice Climbers pretty well.
There's some matchups where I need to see it to believe it. Like he needs to play against a good Puff before I think he has a chance. And that's not a mid tier, but I'd say uncommon character. Like,
I mean he lost to MB. I definitely agree with you on that one.
So
but given that like he doesn't get to play against like Ice Climbers, it still impresses me that he can still win against like Samus, against like Ice Climbers, characters that he's not going to see very often in Germany at a high level. Yeah,
in Europe there's some decent Ice Climbers, I guess. There was Tomber before, and there is Domling. Domling is probably why, right?
Yeah.
He's good at Ice Climbers. So, I mean, Domling's in Germany, right? He's in. He at least has that going for him, and that probably helps. Yeah, Domling. I think is like ranked 2nd or 3rd in Germany. So.
Oh, okay. So I'm off on Domling.
Yeah.
I mean, would we say? I mean, he's not like Nintendo. Is he Nintendo level?
He's not Nintendo level, but it's still like not bad. Like Domling's solid, right?
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I think that even if there are holes in certain matchups for him, I have faith in him, like as a mind to figure it out. So that's That's one thing I will say. Um, Having said that, even though he beat West, I'm not sure if his West problems are over. It's still very lopsided in West's favor. And I'd also be curious to know if he had kept his Sheik around, what would his West record have been all this entire year, right? This year, he played West probably more than any other player, right? Like he played. It feels like every major he was stopped by West somehow. The bracket lined up. It was crazy, right? And it's funny because it's hard to line up with West. West the kind of guy who just loses and winners sometimes. So I don't really know how you line up with West. It doesn't really happen that.
I mean, and they split sets too, so.
Yeah, and they split sets at this tournament. It should be noted that a big reason why Ice won is because Amsa beat West in winners. And, it makes me think it's like, this is a guy who had a Sheik that was at tippy-top level, made top 8 at EVO with Sheik, right?
Yeah.
And West is weak to Sheik, very clearly. If he had kept his Sheik around, I'd expect him to have a winning record against West. And I wonder how his total matchup spread against the top players would be had he done that.
I mean, there was a phase in 2015 where he bailed out with Sheik, and it worked pretty well against SUJ and Hugs at that one Apex. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of the interesting hypotheticals, but yeah, I'm not buying into the fact that it's like, oh, like, is Ice going to beat West consistently? It's like one set out of like, if we look at it from a broader scope, like Ice hasn't done very well.
Yeah. So still high form. Overall, I think Wes's European trip has been pretty successful. He still won that tournament where he lost to Maya. He still, he got second at Kickstart and Syndicate, but he did well at Syndicate. I think losing to Ice is definitely a bummer, but I think that's the biggest blemish on the record overall.
Let's see.
Losing Kickstart, that is.
And then the other tournament of the weekend was pretty interesting. It's always cool to see Smashers, evolve to the point where we're going to each other's weddings.
Oh yeah, dearly beloved. Apparently, it's not the first of its kind. I heard that Combo Breaker Rick, also had a tournament at his wedding. It's definitely the biggest tournament at a wedding that I know of, at least. So, yeah, dearly beloved, man. Isn't that cool? Tournament at a wedding.
So it's interesting.
Were you there?
No, I didn't get to go. I was at home. I was sick. There's no way I was gonna come.
Yeah, congratulations to Bladewise, by the way. I think he still entered, by the way. Which, would you have entered in that situation?
Yeah, I think so.
Just for fun, why not?
Yeah.
It takes a cruel man, and I think it was Ty who eliminated him, to beat someone on their freaking wedding day, man.
Yeah. It might be too. Home record.
You're a home record, man. Why you gotta put him down in the dumps when a man's trying to get married? Just let him win one. Well.
And so, what was it? The most impressive, thing to me is that you had a sea of decent top 15 level players, and how easy SVOD kind of ran away with this tournament.
Yeah, and it's kind of disturbing, actually, right? SVAT dropped, I think, a couple games.
He dropped 2. One to Ty and one to MacD.
Yeah. But otherwise, he looked like he was a tier above. He looked pretty solid. Even against Duck, who I think is extraordinarily good at the spacing matchups. 3-0'd him.
Yeah. And
what's hard?
And the Silent Wolf set looks really, really ugly.
Yeah.
We were I know it's the time has passed and it's been 2 years ago, but can't forget that Silent Wolf did, do incredibly well at GU Fox with it in all those Fox pseudos. So it's kind of interesting to see how 2 years kind of changes a lot, even at the top.
No, it definitely changed. I think that I think there was a there was a Foxito, was there a Foxito round robin, right? With like Hack, Silent Wolf, SFAT, Lucky, etc.
Yeah.
I think SFAT did okay.
He
But
wasn't very good at the Fox though. I mean, I think a year ago we would say like Joey's definitely better than Zach, and that those results supported that.
there was a time where we made fun of Zach for that reason. He like what came down to SoCal and got 6-0'd. There was a mayhem where we made fun of him. And overall, Joey would just like destroy Zach, right? Not sure if that'd be the case anymore. And similarly, like Salamov is one of the masters of that matchup all time. And yeah, Zach made it look easy. So, damn.
So it'll be interesting. I think one of the big things I want to see from Zach is to see if he would like if there's a rematch with Leppin. I think it would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be, I think at this point, SFAT is you got to be on notice. If you're a Melee fan and SFAT hasn't put you on notice, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those cases where like yeah, like a person can have a really good performance once and then they kind of fall back to normal, like their normal level of skill or normal level of results. But like SFAT is coming out and showing results over and over again.
Kezup in the chat mentions that SFAT got 4th out of 6 in the round robin. Obviously, SFAT was still a pro level player at that point a year ago.
It was 2 years ago.
Oh, it was 2 years ago. Was G5 that long ago?
It was like end of 2014.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Regardless, that's where he was, and you know he's been good for a while, and that's something we should mention. That one thing with SFAT's career arc is that he had a very strong, steady improvement period at the beginning when he was really young. That kind of capped out, and he kept on improving, but on the same pace as the rest of the field, right? Everyone else was improving, so was he, and he kept getting better, right? Not really sure what got into him this year, but now it seemed to have spiked up again, and it really brings me back to a phrase I like to say that I don't know if you agree with, or you may or may not disagree with, but I think everyone just improves at their own pace. Like I can't trace any career arcs and find any noticeable pattern, or tell anyone that, hey, you can't do it because no one's ever done it this way. Because for me, I mean, it's very plausible that in a year and a half, SFAT's the best player in the world. It could happen, right? He's close enough. Like, you can't just be the best of the world and say you have no chance of becoming the best, right? Like, once you're 7th, you have a chance. You are close enough to that level to be able to do it with a little bit more effort. And I mean, you asked me that same question 2 years ago, I would be like, yeah, well, he's kind of capped out for a while. I'm not so sure, right? And I guess it just goes to show, like I would never count out old players that people kind of count out and write off, and I would also never count out the new guns who come in and make surprises. And I think SFAT's story arc is one of the most interesting and inspirational if you've been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely went from I don't know, he's probably one of the most unique cases we have right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not often that you see someone, I don't want to say the word stagnate, but basically stay around the relative ranking of 8 to 15 for upwards of 3 years, and then start to jump up, right? And I mean, I should say 8 to 20, but it's really been 8 to 15. He's been in that level, in that tier for a long time, right? And usually that type of player, maybe they have a career arc like J-Man, right? Like J-Man was an 8 to 15 player for 3 years, and then quit, stopped playing, whatever. And that's a good career. You got very, very high up in the skill brackets of Melee and did quite well. But then he hit his peak and that was that, right? But to see it for it to just get better all of a sudden like this To me, at least, it came out of nowhere.
I It's gonna be interesting. I think the main thing is like, are there going to be other kind of people that have been stuck in top 15 that kind of make this magical jump? Not magical jump. He clearly worked hard, so I don't want to demean his work ethic at all. But like, it'll be interesting to see if someone else like somehow makes a big change in something to have something different happen.
Well, there's one variable that makes me believe that it can happen, or that it will happen more and more, and that is more of these guys are becoming full-time, right? For many of these guys, it's their first full year of being a full-time smasher, right? And sure, maybe they stagnated for a period of time because they had to juggle Smash and life, but when they have a full focus, maybe that's what they needed this whole time, right? When they're able to really have nothing but the game to think about, no distractions, it's just the game, and that's their job, right? Maybe that's a difference maker for many of these guys. I think there's a lot of different factors, right? I've seen it go a million different ways. Sometimes it's just having someone in your corner, a coach, or having someone to really break down one or two revelations that you need to get a light bulb moment. That changes everything. But I want to see it. One thing I would love to see content creators out there, an interview with SFAT right now, because I want to capture this exact moment in his career, because I don't know what's going on. Do you?
I mean, I interviewed him before summer, and I got it on ESPN.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. What was he saying around that time?
He was saying that he was going to win Shine.
Interesting. Well, you got damn close.
And there was no reason to believe that he would.
Yeah. I think the confidence aspect has definitely been there. He's been, I think I've mentioned in the show before, he's whispered in my ear before, like, hey, I'm going to win this tournament. Or, like, he's just super hype about it. He never felt content, right? And I have seen that aura of complacency from players of that skill bracket often, right? Because, when you lose to Armada enough times, you're like, dude, I don't know if she's just so good, right? You start doubting yourself. But then if you get the fire again, like it looks like SFAT has got it, and you truly believe in yourself, I think that is a big factor.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me and what SFAT told me was like, and this is, keep in mind, like, for whatever reason, up until that point before summer, like CEO just kind of happened, like, people were saying, yeah, HBox goes close with SFAT when, like, it was clearly very lopsided, and, like, SFAT would throw away leads, he'd throw away games, and other than the Mew King set, like, I had no reason to believe him at the time that he would progress at the way he was progressing in July to now.
Yeah. It's insane. And I think it's not just, like, I mean, there's people in the chat who are calling recency bias and saying all this and that. I think that at this point we have enough data set to say definitively that he is 7th best in the world. But forgetting that, I think, like, the game speaks for itself. Like, you watched Dearly Beloved, and that dude looked like the best player in the room by a long shot, right? And that was not an easy room. That's a room with MacD, Duck, Silent Wolf. Like, you don't make that sort of statement. Like, you don't look that good in comparison easily. Those players are very, very, very good, right? 3-0 Duck, man. Duck's extraordinarily good. He 3-0'd him. And Duck's really good at that matchup, too. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think my point is, like, I think 3 tournaments is a trend.
Sure.
That's my viewpoint. If you have 3 performances where you're performing at a different level and it's all the same level, then I bump you up. 1 to 2 tournaments, yeah, you can have a good run, you can have a fluke, you can have a good bracket, or whatever the list of Johns are. But I think 3 is enough for me to say, like, yeah, I think you're reasonably at that new level.
So here's a question: what would it take at Big House for you to rank SFAT above Plum?
I mean, I think it's it's very interesting. I have a power rankings coming out on Red Bull that reflects the summer where I put Plup, higher than SFAT. I said it was really close, and it depends. I think if there has to be some delta, right, between the two. I think if SFAT beat a god and outplaced Plup, then I would put him higher.
Yeah. Is that all it would take? One God win plus an outplacing? Is it outplacing enough?
It depends. I mean, this is where brackets come into play, right?
Yeah.
What if Plup loses in winners quarters against a god, and then for whatever reason has to play Mango for 9th or 7th or something bizarre?
Yeah. That case, I
mean, how many times has that happened to Plup where it's I lost to Mango for 9th or 7th?
Sure. And sometimes that's just a rough draw.
I mean, there's been so many times where I feel so bad for Plup for Mango busters into losers, and then Plup could go on a run. Wait, he has to play Mango for 9th or Mango for 7th. It's a lot of people say Mango Plup goes back and forth, but there have been so many bracket runs that have been cut short because of Mango, getting to losers early.
Yeah, it's the other half of losers Mango, right?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. So I think SFAT needs a good win and needs to outplace Plup. That's my general assessment. There's probably counterexamples that will probably prove me wrong, and people are like, "Oh, what about this?" Well, sure, I haven't thought about all the cases, but generally, I think that'd be enough.
Sure.
Or if Plup just totally busters and SFAT does okay, then I would give it to SFAT. If Plup loses to Ice and then Nintendo and gets 17th or something.
Yeah. So other than that, any other thoughts about Daily Beloved? What did you think about the return of the Wolf?
I thought it was very impressive that he beat Duck in winners. He didn't. He beat Mike too, which is I think Mike is a pretty good win. I didn't think So there's the results, and there's also watching the matches. I wasn't honestly really impressed with what I saw from Silent Wolf, especially as the night went on.
I see. He did get 3-0 in the day.
The SFAT set, it just looked maybe it's more of a testament of how well SFAT played, but it just looked like he was so outclassed by SFAT.
Yeah, but having said that, didn't Silent Wolf that same day 3-0 Mike? So we have a situation where Silent Wolf 3-0'd Mike, and then SFAT 3-0 Silent Wolf, right?
Yeah.
Is that levels? Are we witness to the levels?
I don't know. The thing about Fox Pseudos and any of the high-level dataers will just say how swingy these matchups are. I didn't get to really watch Mike Hayes versus Silent Wolf, so I don't know if those are one-stock wins.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, but those SFAT wins were JB3 in 3 stocks. So,
yeah. His looked very, very impressive.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. But speaking of the speculation of players, I think one of the big announcements we have was Smash Summit 3.
All right, that was announced. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll be there, obviously, and I can't wait. If you guys don't know, it was announced a while back. The guy who was serving as lead organizer for it, Brian, K-pop, the homie.
Dude, I'm a little nervous because I haven't gotten an email on whether or not I could be there.
Well, they're still organizing a lot of stuff.
Okay, so I'm not eliminated yet.
Chill out. So Brian, the homie, is actually left BTS. No hard feelings between all of them. He's just going back home. He was missing his family. His fiance's out in Georgia or whatever. So.
And I heard he's doing the med school thing.
Yeah, something like that. So.
Good for him.
Some other BTS guys are picking up the slack. I'm also, of course, as always, helping with that event a lot. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I think Brian will still be there though. I think they announced the Invites, it's pretty much the top 10 in the world, as you would expect. All invited, including Leffen with an asterisk. So if you guys, if there's a last minute invite they have to do to replace him, we'll see. But he's on the list as well. It is going to be early November as the day of the event, and it's always one of, if not the best event of the year. I have so much fun at those events.
Yeah, I mean, they're a blast. I mean, I guess this is the Illuminati privileges, right?
What do you mean?
To be able to go and just hang out.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean...
And not be a top 20 level player.
Hey, I go there to commentate. Thank you very much.
Me too.
So, there you go. So, there to commentate. But it's chill. Like, I could probably go there and not ever really sit on the couch, and they'd be cool with it too. So it's nice. It's just a really chill event. Treat it like a vacation. I was there for like the Mafia land they did, the town, and just hanging out with those guys is awesome. Again, I think like if we could take a moment to talk about Beyond the Summit and what they mean to me as a fan of Twitch, I think they're like the model for all aspiring event streamers and grassroots event streamers. Like,
you don't have to answer this, but the one puzzling thing is like I still don't know how they make money, and maybe that's a whole separate private discussion. But they have 9 paid staff. They have to be doing something right.
They're doing a lot right, man. No, I mean they have a sales team. They do all right.
They have 9 people. They have this like mansion in SoCal. Not a mansion, but like this like 5-bedroom behemoth. They have an office.
Yeah, they're doing good. It's not bad. As far as I know, they've never taken outside investment or anything. They're just building a business smartly. Not going negative. Being smart. And to me, like, it's if you're out there, you're grinding out and you're building your stream, your tournament stream, whatever you're doing, they are such a good case study. Because basically, if you guys don't know the context, it started out with the 2 Davids, LD and Gods, basically just commentating over matches, right? They were commentators. They liked Western Dota. They're U.S. Dota fans who liked watching international games, and they started commentating over them when they were on in other time zones because no one was doing English casting, and it grew organically from there. Like, they started picking up other casters who were trying to help them and who also wanted to cast, who were also Dota fans. They started, doing stuff where, they met in person to do a lot of the cast. Like, they started building it really organically, and eventually they started doing their own events with the Summit events, and then getting their own office, and then they got invited out to do professional events through Valve. Like, all this stuff is, just started building really gradually and organically for them. And they're one of the biggest streams on Twitch. Their channel is enormous, right, in terms of following. So I would love to see a world where our Smash streamers, our Smash event streamers, can grow like they did, right? Like, imagine if 2 years from now, VG Bootcamp is kind of like Beyond the Summit, right, where they have more and more paid staff, and they have offices and are able to do more. Now, I think VG Bootcamp should be a model for everyone else, too, actually. They have their own store. They have paid staff, too. They support some commentators. They have a pro team. They have weeklies and, events to look forward to, and they cover a lot of events, right? So VG Bootcamp is incredible in how they've grown over the last 2 years. It's super sick, man. I'm hyped for the Summit. I'm hyped for it all. So, but the end of the year, I made a tweet. If we want to talk about our next topic, which is that.
Let's go ahead. I think we're rolling on to the theme of like what's happening in the fall. Is that what you're going towards?
Yeah. So, okay. I made a tweet which is basically that everything major with an asterisk, something that remains to be announced, but pretty much everything, especially everything big, super big, is announced. We know our 2016 for the most part. What you guys see now and is out there to the public is 2016. The Smash leadership is now working on 2017 and what we're going to do then, right? But 2016 is locked. So we know what we'll have remaining for the rest of the year. What will determine, where that SSBM rank really falls. You guys won't get any surprises unless someone, including me, decides to do something last minute or something happens.
You're such a tease.
This is what we got. This is what we got right now. The players now know what they have to do to get those spots. And over time, that SSBM rank has mattered a lot, right? Like, I go through those sponsored conversations, and I know you do too. Dude, they just look at that ranking. they really do. They look at that ranking a lot. So it matters, right? It truly matters. And it's also for a pride standpoint, it is an impartial panel of like 40 people. Okay, some would argue it's not impartial, but it's a panel of 40 people.
No, it's what's going to sit on me, man.
Who are big into the scene, so.
It's going to be interesting. I'm definitely, speaking of which, I'm actually changing how I'm selecting panelists this year.
Oh, okay.
Before, I wanted people that attended a lot of events because we didn't have as many majors and stuff on stream, in Twitch. Kudos to you for making it a lot more visible. But as a result, I got people who, attended a lot of events and had a lot of interaction with the top players. And I thought that given how we didn't have much on Twitch and YouTube, that's probably the best way to go about it. I think now that we have more than enough Twitch Melee and majors that I'm actually opening it up to very knowledgeable stream monsters that they can apply to be judges. And I think that's pretty fair, right?
Like the Dinguses of the world?
Yeah. Because at this point, I think they honestly watch way more Melee, and they would know number 30 through number 150 way better than, I don't know, a Shroomed or a Drug Fox. Drug Fox watches a lot. Like a Shroomed or a MacD.
It's interesting. That's interesting.
And I think they would give me more accurate results than a Shroomed or MacD.
I also think that they might not. I don't know.
Dingus does the seedings for events from like 50 to like 400 for like Genesis and stuff, and I think he does a pretty good job.
No, Dingus, I think I'm down. I'm down. I
have to have a proven relationship with them. Like, I'm asking myself the question, would Jungle Guy or Sheridan trust him with seeding?
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I still think it should be dominated by mostly top players and personnel. Because at the end of the day, like,
I can't use the gods.
Why not?
They have the worst opinions of skill of anyone below top 15.
What do you mean? How bad is their opinion skill?
It is atrocious. You do standard deviation on what the gods think, and sure, they pick up some people like $100, said Wizzy was good, like in 2012, but they have very polarizing opinions. But
he wasn't really that good in 2012, was he?
He wasn't, but I think he got a 9 on like the 2013 ballot or something ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
They have the worst opinions. Mutine's ballot was atrocious in 2013. Mango, when I actually could get him to do a ballot, was atrocious in 2013.
Alright.
Anyway, so enough on that. So what are the other fall winter events?
Yes. Okay, who of the gods would make the best ballot?
PPMD.
Yeah, PP would make the best. Because he watches it a lot.
He doesn't like doing rankings. I understand where he comes from. Like, he just wants to play the game and doesn't want drama. So, like, he refrains, and I respect that. But I think he would be the best.
Well, no one's going to see him.
But he doesn't like to be involved in ranking culture.
Okay. Sure. Anyway, you were going to move on.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Okay. Well, anyway, we were saying the events that are coming up and what people have to really prove themselves by the end of the year. And it's actually a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. It's a significant amount of stuff. So just to recap, there is Big House, of course, coming up. That's the next big one. Eclipse in Europe, European major. Canada Cup, Smash Summit. Smash the Record, which is not really useful for results, but it's just going to be a fun event. So
Did you do you want to go ahead and post that fire tweet that you posted up of the schedule in the chat?
Oh, sure. That was good.
I'm not sure if it bans you, but I think I gave you mod status.
Do you really think I can get banned?
Oh yeah,
I can
you got
post.
the super Twitch.
Is that a question? No. Do you know whose website this is? It's Jeff Bezos. But anyway, DreamHack winner, UGC, which we should talk about. It was announced. Don't Park in the Grass, and then Eden, which is Rose event, to round up the year. So it's interesting because like a lot of these events are going to be multiple god events. Like Big House, Canada Cup, Summit, DreamHack winner, and UGC will very likely have 4 gods, right? Like or like probably like 4 plus of the top 6, right? 6 or 7, and like probably the majority of the top 10 at the least. So that's big, and we know Armada's going to don't park in the grass. So wouldn't be surprised if we see some of the other American gods come in just so he doesn't win it. So that's big right there. So there's actually a lot of data left, right? Probably more than I think many people would have expected at this point of the year.
I would agree. I mean, I think, if we look at the next 3 months, isn't that like how many majors there were like in all of like 2014 or like 2013?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this 3 months is going to be bigger than many years were, as it's been the case for a while. And in that batch of events, Canada Cup and UGC, those are new, right? Like Don't Park is new too, as well as Eden. So some new faces in the event scene. Canada Cup, of course, has been around as an event for a long time. And actually, PP went there that one year, and it was pretty good, right? But it looks like they're putting a lot more effort into Smash this year, right? Lapchi, in his infinite wisdom, has decided to use Smash to grow Canada Cup. And I think that's really wise of him, based on how the other FGC events are using Smash. And he's trying to attract top players. He's donating stuff on their streams. He's throwing money around because he's Lapchi, and that's hilarious.
Wait, what does Lapchi do? Like that he can just toss like $900 left and right?
I think he works in real estate. My man's loaded. He's doing quite all right. So
okay.
Can't up to just like a party he hosts every year because he loves fighting games.
Okay, like I was just perplexed that he could just throw money.
Yeah, Lapchi's got it made, man. So I wouldn't worry about it. So that's a cool to see that Canada Cup is putting that kind of investment into Smash and like really wants to make it bigger, right? It's actually sort of surprising to me because I didn't know that Lapchi liked or cared about Smash. Like for the most part, like I said, Canada Cup is his passion project, where he just he doesn't care if he gains or loses money. He just does it because it's fun for him. So usually for people like that, they do it for the game that they care about the most, right? But I guess, he really wants to make Smash bigger at the event, and I think that's super cool. I'll probably go. Another Canadian event. Canada has been runner-up to Texas in best region for events this year. Canada has been killing it, man. Canada has been absolutely killing it. I specifically mean like the Toronto area, the Ontario area. It's been freaking ridiculous how many events they've had. So that'll be huge. And then there's also UGC. UGC is an event I was working on behind the scenes for a while, and they recently announced it's going to be really sick. They actually, if you look at the trailer that they did, that was all original footage that they shot at events throughout. Like I think they had photographers out at Evo, SmashCon, whatever, getting prepared for the event, and I think their production values are going to be really good. If you guys have seen any of their previous events and have seen their productions in the the shooters, council shooters community, you'd know that. So super hyped for that. And St. Louis, I mean, we've never really had an event there that's been very big, so I'm excited to see how it does. Right, it's close enough to the Illinois community that I expect them to come out, but should be really cool. I know the St. Louis guys better be hyped. It's gonna be crazy.
I mean, that just seems so out of the blue that there's a 40K event, but you're vouching for them, so I trust you.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be good. And they're doing everything the right way. They're talking to the community, and they also brought on Bear and Matat Zeb to help with some of the TOing, and the guy that's basically running it on the UGC side. He's also a smasher, so rest assured they know what they're doing. And if you saw that trailer, their art direction is pretty cool, so I think it'll be really good. Venue's pretty cool. I'm gonna go by all likelihood, so that's another one to add to the list. St. Louis.
I haven't been to St. Louis before.
Either.
My sister's fiance is from St. Louis, though.
Yeah. People tell me it's absolutely beautiful. So.
Let's see. Gosh,
and then
I'm so sad because I promised my girlfriend no more travel.
What are you gonna go to?
Dude, I don't know, man. I have Big House and most likely the Summit, and that takes another 4 vacation days that I frankly don't have. I may not have vacation days beyond Smash Summit and Big House, so I'd have to take unpaid vacation to go to more events.
Ooh, that's rough.
And I also have my brother's wedding coming up in Korea.
You're gonna go to Korea, man?
Yeah, my brother's getting married in Korea, so it's gonna be a nightmare to budget. I might just have to red eye and then I miss top 8 on Sunday, which I hate. It's gonna be. I want to go. I mean, it would be really nice, but can't take unpaid vacation. It's a little too much.
Well, I mean, you're so close to being a pro at Melee. What if you just went pro?
Oh, you mean my... Dude, man, I wish I could.
Pretty close, right? It must be roughly equivalent to your NASA salary if you do that.
Yeah. Dude, $1,000 a month in student loans is painful, man. Even I just refinanced it, which is pretty nice, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. That's rough. I know. I think I'll be going to almost everything. I don't think I'll go to Eclipse because that's in Norway, and I don't want to travel that far. But I want to go to everything else. I might have a... No, I'll try to go to everything else. Maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions. I might take a break. But, for the most part, I want to go to everything. Try it. Of course, first up is Big House, and it's probably. I mean, it's easily the most prestigious. I consider it the most prestigious event left on the calendar, right? So it's hard to say. Going to Big House, I think that's going to affect the ranking most of all.
I'm sorry. I'm preoccupied by this lack of vacation time. It's making me sad.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
On the bright side, I haven't had many weddings, or else I would have been grossly under.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get to go Big House. I think that's pretty nice. But I have to re-strategize. I may have to devise a. I also got the car accident, so that killed my sick time a lot. So this year, if I don't get into a gross car accident that injures my back, I should be able to use sick time too.
Is your back all right now?
It's 95% recovered. It's just You know that sharp pain that you can get sometimes?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I get that randomly triggered. It's very rare though. I'm pretty good.
I see. And the MRI stuff went okay, right, with the brain?
Oh yeah, I don't have MRI issues. I still get that random head pain issues. So I'm not dying. I'm not dying.
Probably right.
Yeah. So we're good. We're good.
Tafel's still alive and kicking. That's good.
Dude, and I gotta write the content, man. I have a shameless plug, not shameless plug, but ESPN article should release next week about who I think are the top, based on results in 2016 and their impact in the eye test, like who are the top 10 best doubles players.
Ooh! Did we talk about doubles at all? What's wrong with us? Did we talk about doubles at all? Man. Okay, well, I don't want to spoil the article, but that's a juicy one. That's a juicy one.
Yeah, it took me a long time to write. And I'm pretty sure some people are going to be happy, but you know what? Doubles doesn't get any love, so I figure, like, you know, if this gets people at the very least talking about doubles, like, I did my job.
And I'll be very happy if we do it. Yeah,
I already wrote it. They're just going to release it next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, send me the draft in private. I want to see what you did.
All right. There were very tough decisions that you might disagree with me on, and that's totally cool. I sent it to you on Facebook.
Okay, cool. Dang.
You're gonna be really surprised at one of the players, but I was thinking about moving him higher. You just didn't enter enough as the other players.
Interesting.
Did you get the link?
I disagree with one very strong.
Do you want to message me on Facebook to see what it is?
Okay, we gotta keep going with the show. Let's not distract each other with our crap. But interesting. Okay.
Hey, it at least at the very least creates a
Discussion.
baseline for people to argue off of, because nobody else created a list before this.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think this is.
So at the very least, it creates a baseline that people can argue off of, as opposed to like nobody having any perception of where anybody is.
Right. I think there's also a general misconception that individual single skill equals individual double skill, and that's just not true.
I mean,
right.
But then it gives them the ability to fight in skirmishes, right? Like, I trust Leffen to not get dominated in 1v1s.
Right. But when it gets more complicated, then that individual double skill come out. And all those double skill means to me your ability to team with anyone, and how are you good relative to other people.
Yeah. You know, I did mention that as one of my criterions, right? Replacement theory.
But not just that, actually. That's not entirely true, because I think that certain characters just naturally go poorly with certain characters. So I think that, like, you could still be the best double individual player in the world, but not be good with teaming with Sheik, for example, right? Or teaming.
I mean, do you at least kind of agree with what the top of the list is? The top three.
Yeah. Top. No.
You don't.
I don't know.
I know which one needs to go. I know what you're talking about. We talked about it the very first time.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this must be frustrating for people who are listening, because they don't see the list. So you guys should just watch out for that. You should watch out for that. Anyway,
it's a pretty good piece, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it's time for questions yet? Because it feels like.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's Big House around the corner, but like, I think we could talk about that next week, because we'll finalize crews, and I think it gives us more meaningful chatter, as opposed to speculating on things and then realizing that we're wrong.
Yeah. Also, chat, and just people who are listening to this, if you guys want to tweet at me different ideas for out of focus episodes. I have a few I want to do. And also, if anyone has generally ideas for blur rants.
Dude, why don't you just create an Ask FM and just tweet out saying, like, what do you want as your blur rants? And then you'll get a ton. You won't get a ton. You'll probably get like 10 a day, and then you can just sift through them.
Okay.
And
But
maybe that's the easiest way.
yeah.
Get an Ask
Uh,
FM.
yeah. So I have a few that I actually want myself, but I want to see what the people want. So, anywho, yeah, let's get some questions going.
All right. All right. Let's see. Okay, this one's for me. Who's the zero to hero for this upcoming season? When will it start? It starts whenever he wants, and the person for the upcoming season is actually in the chat.
It's Edwin Budding, right?
Yeah, how'd you know?
You told me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Mike Case Gaming asks in the chat, how do I get sponsored? There's a few people probably in front of you on the line, but once it gets to you, it'll get to you. Continue getting better with results in social media and streaming, and you'll get there.
Yeah, I mean...
When I start messaging you is when you're going to get sponsored.
You bribed Tafo to make you ESPN or Yahoo articles.
What? What was the question? Oh, you bribed Tafo to make ESPN. That's actually a really good way to get sponsored. If Tafo's writing an article about you a week, you're going to get sponsored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there are like two that are very similar. So I'm just going to combine it. I think both of them like wrote us separately, but they're like the same people. Hi Tafo, what is a bigger mistake in retrospect? Me and Pikachu, he won't admit it, summing Hugs out of the top 10 for 2006 or Wobbles being number 6, or Wobbles not being number 6 in the SSBM rank for 2013.
This is a question for you, right?
I think Hug's not making top 10. What do you think, actually? Just extending the question, because the other question was like, did Hugo get snubbed in that 2006 list?
Yes, he did.
In my mind, even before that list came out, where'd you put Hugo?
I disagree with almost all that 2006 list, Adam Budding. But I mostly disagree with the top of it too.
I mean, Ken number 1. You didn't like that she was number 4, or what?
I think it was. I have to open up the list. Well, can you repeat to me the list again?
I think it was Ken, as in PC, was third. Let me look on GameFAQs to get.
Yeah, it was PC that I disagreed with.
And
Didn't PC win like? I think PC had a really good case for being second.
Asin's, they made a pretty good case about Asin.
PC had a good case for being first, dude. PC won like both FC and the New York opener, and his results overall were good.
I think they argued pretty well. I mean, I think the big thing to put Asin higher, and I didn't realize, is that Asin was 11-2 against the top 5, and PC was 12-14.
That's a good point. PC also had some bad matchups.
Like Asin was 4-1 against PC and 4-0 against.
So Asin in terms of big wins that he got, like he won MLG Orlando that year, but what other big tournaments did he win?
I mean, but like the head-to-head record's pretty convincing in Asin's favor.
Sure, but some of PC's greatest career accomplishments happened then. And okay, so if you think that's the case, if you think Asin is ranked higher in 2006, why do you rank PC above him in Legacy?
Because when we think of like long-term legacy, you think of wins at the top level.
I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. You're going to tell me that Asin is ranked higher than PC for basically their entire careers, but you still put PC higher? How does that make sense? Because PC stops in 07, right? And Asin is definitely higher than in 2005 and before.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So if I'm, getting this, correct me if I'm wrong. When you look at the top, even for a yearly rank, you value wins, like you would value major wins for an all-time legacy. Is that?
Adam Budding is going crazy saying Asin is 6th all-time. That's actually quite a statement. He thinks Asin is higher than PC. And I think that's actually a really good argument. That is an argument to have. Is Asin higher than PC all-time? That's a good argument to have.
Okay, so...
Dude, he won TG6. He won MLG Orlando. There's some tournaments he won in that era. Like people act like, yes, it was just the Ken record that really, really hurts him. But his record on everyone else during his whole era was really good.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That's you know what, Edwin? I might actually agree with you on that point. Maybe Asin is higher than PC all time. That's.
I think the big reason why. Okay, so I think if I think part of the reason why we valued PC so highly was because we were still watching in '06, and for him to A, stop Ken, and B, when MLG Las Vegas, which in our minds was the biggest event for the most relevant event for the longest time, is why in our minds we think PC is really high. When probably
MLG Las Vegas is a freaking big deal. MLG New York and MLG Las Vegas is like very, very, very good wins for him.
And so when we look at Legacy, are we over? I'm wondering if I'm overrating the impact of MLG.
The thing is, Asin's long tail is far better. I mean, his career is like literally over double. Like not even accounting for his recent stuff, because I actually don't think Asin's recent stuff shakes his legacy very much. He hasn't really done too much to shake his legacy.
He lost to me. That's a lot.
Okay, well, I don't think anything he does right now really lowers his legacy. It's only really additive, right?
Yeah.
I'd say his if you just take into account his early years, right? Like that's a lot of years that he has on PC in terms of just overall relevant career. PC's career is like a year and a half long.
Yeah.
Like he was a top player for like a year and a half. And I think that's pretty. If you're gonna make an argument against PC in all-time ranking, you wouldn't he's the star that shined bright. You know, he's the guy whose candle that was really, really bright for a little bit of time, but it wasn't that long, right? And it's not like Asin didn't have wins of his own, so that is an argument to have, I'll admit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, it's fair. I'm probably over. So I guess the inconsistency in my logic is I probably overvalue PC in the all-time, and I think that's.
But I also think that's a maybe. I do think PC has a very good argument too, because those wins are literally the biggest tournaments of that era.
So if we ended at 2007, right? We ended the book of Melee in 2007, and it was just MLG. That ended.
I would say until Evo 2013, those were probably the biggest tournaments. Also Apex 2013, right? Let's say until Apex 2013, PC had won the biggest tournaments of all time, right? If you just really look at it. So think about it in that lens. Why PC, when people talk about his all-time legacy, they value it so highly. Because he won some freaking big, big events, right? And that meant a lot at the time. So I don't think he doesn't have an argument. It's interesting. I also would love to see an individual teams ranking all time as well.
I'm working on that actually.
All time individual teams?
Yeah.
So you're saying for individuals, not for...
Oh, no, teams. Greatest teams of all time. It's a lot more interesting to do that when you look at the broad scope of things than a 2016 best pairings, because then you get the same 6 teams or 6 players and you just kind of loop and shuffle them.
Yeah.
But when you look at all time, it actually is a pretty good piece.
Well, all time number 1 is really easy. That's one thing. I think Ken Isaiah is pretty clear.
Yeah, Ken and Isaiah is by far number 1.
It's
Armada, I gave it Armada and Meat King, number 2.
It's probably right.
And then it gets kind of interesting. This is where it's going to start deviating.
As in Chillin, is that 3rd?
You have As in Chillin, you have QFAT, you have Beauty King Hungry Box.
No.
Look at the records.
Michigan Hungrybox doesn't even feel like a real team to me.
It doesn't, but they like dominated a lot of events, and the results are comparable.
Put that over fucking chilling as it. There's no way.
It's actually pretty close.
It's an iconic team.
It is, but their longevity, and they've had some really strange losses. Group Blue did. They did, beat Ken and Isaiah here and there, but they also lost to Mana Cloud and Partner, and they lost.
That was usually Cloud and Chew. Mana Cloud and Chew were like a top 4 team at the time.
And they also lost to like husband and wife at like the most important event of the year.
Yeah, that's bad, but again, husband and wife was like a top team too.
They're good, but like I'm not. It's tough. It's close. Like Meeting HBox is actually like a really good team.
Yeah.
Like think about like, how many times they've ever lost or not like gone top 2. And then you also have to throw in Mango Lucky, who was a really good team for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think they make this cut, right?
Or Jamie and Muti King.
Jamie and Muti King would probably do. They won a lot of events.
Yeah, and then
Jamie would be up there.
Who else was there?
Where's Taupe Siren fit in the mix?
Taupe Siren, just because they got like.
They were like top 8 for
I
like
think
9
they could
years.
French make top 10.
Oh yeah, they definitely could. There's also PP Loser.
PP Loser didn't have longevity. That was their issue.
Yeah, and they never really peaked that high. Like the best they usually did was like top 8. Like they overall performed worse than Taupe Siren probably.
And then you had like Taj Ford.
Taj Ford, that was still not that much.
They ended up probably like a top 15 team. Top 15, top 20.
Yeah, for sure. Oh no, absolutely. There's probably teams we're missing.
Team UGS.
Armada Android? Or Aniolis?
They both might. I think Armada Android's won a bit more. They won Big House.
Aniolis is Armada team for longer.
Yeah. But they didn't...
and second in Apex is really good too.
I don't think Armada and Aniolis turned out as many U.S. results. But that's partially due to like the way traveling worked back in the day. Didn't...
Yeah.
So, I think the Team UGS with Android is higher than the Team UGS.
Husband and wife are also pretty high up there.
What was that?
Husband and wife are also pretty high up there.
They're okay. It's going to be tough because like there are so many teams in the modern era that like the years have actually added up for them. Like the teams that have been doing like Club Hungrybox too.
Yeah, there's Club Hungrybox.
And what about like teams like Shroom and Allen?
Do they make the cut anywhere?
They're probably like a top 15 to top 20.
Huh?
Top 15 to like top 20.
I don't think so. We just listed a lot of teams.
And then
like Shroom and Armada has done more, right?
That's true. And then yeah. Left and Ice.
Sure, Left and Ice. They've done some things. Yeah. Those some interesting ones. I'm trying to think of other team combos. Those are the main ones. Yeah, I think that jump out. Number 1 is pretty clear though. That's one of the interesting things because right now for our singles list, number 1 is actually less clear than it's ever been.
Yeah, Ken Isaiah is by far easily number 1.
It's like so obviously number 1. Like it's not a competition. Number 1. And it would take so much for someone to actually beat that. Like, so much.
I think not only did they win a lot, they were super dominant and never lost.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Armada and Muti King, if they like team for the next 2 years and went invincible, like I think that's good.
Yeah, Armada Muti King would have to basically win everything for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Or PewFat would have to like just dominate for like 3 years, 4 years.
So,
but yeah. Anyway, next question.
all right, that we totally like sidetracked on that one.
Yeah, but it was a good sidetrack. That was an interesting question.
Have you read Nicholas M. Whittier's post on cultivating interest in doubles? Oh yeah, I chatted with him a little bit.
I actually read it. I thought it was good. You know, he's obviously a little abrasive in how he delivers the message, but overall, I think that some of his points are definitely right.
And Scar got second at Genesis, and he actually did stuff, so he's not the worst. But I get his language. I get him.
Scar's done stuff in teams, man. But anyway, give Scar some credit. The crux of a lot of what he's saying is sort of right. I disagree with how he's talking about scheduling. I do not think it'd be a good thing if teams was all day one. I don't like that at all. I think we should fix our day one content problems, but it's probably going to come in different forms, and we've already been accomplishing a lot of those forms. I think somewhere he says that day ones have sucked except for Genesis, but I'm like, dude, did you watch what we did for Pound or for Big House, Last Big House, or like all those, like, we've been figuring it out. I don't think it takes teams all the way to Friday to figure it out.
I mean, to be fair, he said specifically if there's like a big, good exhibition, then like that shouldn't take the place of it.
Sure. I mean, I think Cruise is what's been taking the place of it, what's been being put into day one for sure. I mean, that's been the major replacement. I do think scheduling, like the general point that scheduling is a big thing that's holding teams back is absolutely right. Teams doesn't get enough prime time slotting. I also think that there is a myth perpetuated in like his first paragraph where he says teams is a lot worse in viewership. Attendance, it's like pretty, like roughly usually at majors, what is it, like a 2/3 to half 50? It's usually 50 to 65% of people enter teams, which to me is pretty good in terms of attendance, right, in comparison to singles. Especially since we don't have any teammate matching systems, right? Like, to me, that's actually not bad at all for conversion ratio of singles players. It's mostly that we need better systems to match players and to create consistent teammates and maybe give value to being consistent with your teammate rather than just continually flip-flopping. But in terms of viewership, yeah, teams have less viewership on a top 32 level, but top 8 teams viewership, I've explained on this stream many times, when it's given the right time slot, does quite well and people are quite into it. I think the storylining aspect makes the commentary is a good point. People have been doing better on that front. I like to think, I know I've at least put a lot of effort into it. I've been doing a lot of the double top 8s in the last year. I've tried, and I think the PewFest storyline's been pushed a little bit. We can do better, of course. I think people are generally bad at teams commentary. He's right at that, because I think he's wrong about why. He says, like, things people could say. I think those are all really good. Like, his little list of things people could say is very good. As in, talk about core points of what you should want to do in teams. That's very good. But I think teams commentary needs to transition to be almost entirely play-by-play. And I think color often distracts from what people want to do when tracking teams. So a few disagreements here and there. Overall, I think it's a really good discussion, and I like Nick M. Whittier's blog in general. You guys should check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we answer crew battle questions, or should we save that for next week?
For Big House crew battles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that, because
Right.
that's going to be like the main topic discussion.
I mean, it's Big House we're going to cover a lot next week. Sorry, whoever answered it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it next week.
You mentioned earlier that many top players love Marth, and why, if that's the case, why didn't so few people play him and even less solo man him?
Does he mean love Marth or think Marth is good?
What was that?
Does he mean love Marth or think Marth is good?
Love Marth. I mean, like, there's like Mango, right?
I think a lot of people play Marth.
I mean, Latrin plays a pocket Marth, too.
Yeah, everyone. Marth is probably, was he like the third or fourth most popular character in the game to play?
According to my data for top 32s, it's Fox, then Sheik. It's Fox and then a big gap, and then
Oh,
Sheik.
I think he's saying just players. Like I'm saying for the whole event.
I think Martha's pretty high. I think he's like third.
Yeah, a lot of people play Marth, man.
Yeah. I'll have to look at my database, but I remember Martha being like right up there with Falco in third or fourth.
Yeah, it's usually like the characters at least I see a lot are like Fox, Marth, Falcon, Falco. Probably the
And
four
all the
most-
gods like have a pocket Marth except for Hungry Box.
Yeah. So.
They all
Dude,
like
a lot of Marths. I don't know. I disagree with the assertion that there aren't a lot of Marths. There's maybe not enough good Marths, but dude, he's a hard character.
He's a hard character, and I mentioned that in my Ask FM, saying that like it's very unforgiving to make mistakes with Fox or with Marth.
Yeah, he's a character, in my opinion, the best, but he's extraordinarily good.
All right, pretty interesting. I'll let you answer this one. Do you think Melee is a good stream game? The only successful home streams are now more or less variety gamers or tournament streams.
Yeah, I think it is. I just, sometimes it blows my mind because I've been trying to do my stream grind and like to try to get better. It's really like I don't know why the delta is this big. I don't know why. Like I don't know how we can get 120k people, 220k people, 60k people, 70k people on tournament streams, and then like those same people who are on those tournament streams with a huge fan base and who get tens of thousands of impressions every time they tweet, they turn on their stream and they get 60 views. Like it doesn't make that much sense, right? Like I don't like it shouldn't be this big of a difference, right? Even if our content wasn't good, like even if we're not doing good with how we're streaming, it kind of blows my mind that the difference is that big, right? Like some of those guys just should be at this point too famous to turn on a stream and only get 60 views. Maybe I'm weird. Tetsuba says because weekdays, I don't know, man. Like I would think weekdays would make it better because they're not competing with tournament streams. Like if anything, I want to watch something at like 8 p.m. on a weekday for Melee, and I don't always have it. So there, a lot of like our top end streamers, like you look at Alex, Hugs, Mango, they've moved on to doing a lot of variety game stuff. They don't play Melee sometimes, right? When they're doing it, or they do Google spreadsheets, and that's found success. So it's like it's really hard to take in and like be like, why is this happening? I really do think Melee fans love Melee, but I think my analysis of it goes down a few ways, right? One, Melee fans are extraordinarily hardcore. We have no casuals. We just don't have you can't be a fan of Melee in 2016 and be a casual. It's like impossible. This game's been out for 15 years. You're just not a casual, right? And so because of that, like we really, really like tournament content, right? We like when we know everyone's trying really hard. We like when it's at the highest level of competition. We like that stuff. Two, there is a lot of, even when the tournaments aren't on, there's a lot of stuff to watch in VOD form for tournaments. So when you have a choice to decide what to watch, do you watch a live stream of someone playing friendlies or to watch a VOD of like a high-level tournament set? I think many people will choose VOD even though they prefer live. And everyone you generally prefers live, but maybe they'll pick a VOD instead. There's that. And three, I think that the home streams that have been happening so far, for the most part, don't storyline their content to make it important enough for their viewer. So people prefer to listen to the casual streams where people are chill and can basically just shoot the shit rather than someone playing friendlies or. I mean, those people are still interacting with the chat too and still talking because deep down the viewer knows that none of those matches are important, right? And since Melee has such a hardcore audience, the match being important matters a lot, right? Seeing someone playing friendly is a common occurrence. You just go to your weekly. No one goes to a weekly and watches like someone else play friendly. They play themselves or they do watch the tournament sets, but they don't sit there and want to watch someone else watching a friendly. So I think that translates to the viewership. You have to make your friendlies important. That's the way to do it, in my opinion. There has to be some way to make friendlies important. There's ways to do that, like friendlies ladder, like we technologically make it so that friendlies do matter to some degree. We give that sort of incentive to people. If people built storyline elements to the content they built, like let's say I had Soft over recently, and with Soft maybe I ran a first to 10, right? And that was like the key capstone of the night. Maybe I did something like that, or I mean, he's a lot better than me, so it's not exactly a great example. But like if we did some sort of gamification to our gameplay to make it more than it is. So I think that's ultimately a lot of the core problems for it. But even saying with that said, I don't think that the difference should be as big as it is. Like, even with how we're doing it, I'm still shocked that the difference is as big as it is. So it is important to know. I think for us to grow as an esport, we need to fix it. Like, we need to find a way to change that, because it's kind of mind-boggling. These guys have too much following and too much fandom to really be getting that kind of viewership. It just doesn't make that much sense.
All right. Let's see. I host a small 30-man local in my town. My venue is really cheap, and they really like the tournaments, but they require that we space out the tournaments by 2 months. Other venues are way too expensive or are not viable options. How can I grow my local scene with this stipulation?
You make the tournament you do every 2 months a frickin' banger, and then you host smaller tournaments in between.
But, like, how does it get other venues?
You can find other venues. I mean, you just make them smaller events. You cap them or something. Like your city has other venues. You will be able to find them. They exist. Unless you live in NorCal, in which case you don't.
RIP.
Yeah.
RIP. This is for you. Seems like a lot of people like you, Blur. They want to give you some love.
Thank you.
For Blur, how did the town event run by the Summit guys end up? From your experiences, how can Smashers stop sucking at Mafia? Oh, you could go on like for hours on this.
So I also suck at Mafia, but I'm the best Smasher at it. So it's really interesting. And I think that, like, I mean, obviously this isn't the stream about Pro Mafia, but I think that there's like a lot more to that game than Smashers realize. Like, I think the way I think Smashers need to have the getting four stock moment, right? And I had it. I've experienced it. Charlie Yang four stock. Basically, I feel like Smashers, the way they play the game, they don't realize that they're just how much skill gap there could be and how good you can actually get.
Or we're also the type of people that get fascinated by Kirby down Bs and laugh about it. That's like how we are in Mafia, right?
We're also memesters. Yeah, we're memesters. So like between being memesters and like also like the people who take it seriously naturally get frustrated by the couple people who are bad eggs and don't take it seriously enough. And then three, I think that the ones who take it seriously need to either watch some of the Dota guys play or the Mafia Land guys play to understand how crazy high level Mafia can actually be. To understand like where like why people like the game. So I guess all that put together.
All right. Do you think there could be an excellent adventure type show with Melee, or would that require online?
We have online to a degree.
So, I think it would work online with like Melee online.
Look, Excellent Adventures doesn't work because it's online, and it works because it's Mike Ross and Gutex. Like, people love those guys.
But if it was like Scar and you.
Yeah, we could do it. Scar's busy with baby though, and I'm busy with everything. So,
Right.
if we could do it probably, but it's mostly again that's a show driven by personality. It's not driven by format, right? Like you put Mike Ross and Gutex in front of a camera. That's what makes that show so good.
Chillin' and Chew is pretty funny.
Chill and Chew was hella funny. So no, it can work. I don't know why they stopped. Like
Chillin' and Chew and Asin too.
They got hella views, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I had a good laugh of it.
No, Chillin' with You actually got hella views. So, like, way better than I'm sure the first Excellent Adventures did. So, if they just kept consistent with it, they would have done it. So, yeah, we could probably do one. I'm surprised no one has. Well, no one has kept up with it.
When we see Honest Blur, Scar mentioned him on his show, but who is Honest Blur? I know of Prime Blur, but Honest Blur?
I'm always honest with the people, so I don't understand this meme. I think what they're trying to say is there is a part of me that doesn't like to admit weakness, who maybe exaggerates points here or there, and just like anyone else, and it can be hard to get past that. So you know what, don't disagree with all that entirely, but fuck you guys, I can do what I want.
He was just asking when he would get to see Honest Blur.
I'm always honest.
Okay, fair enough. I know you love talking about Hugo. Based on the tournament results in all of 2016 so far, which player would you put around Hugs in rankings? KJH.
Okay.
Yeah, right. KJH should be, SJ. He's won a set off of SFAT. Has some wins. Beats Duck. Do you have that picture of PPMD looking sad on a bench? I actually don't have it. I think Scar does.
Oh, I don't like that picture, man.
This is for Blur. Thoughts. It's the Alex19 emo. Alex19 Blur Goldfish. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, this is funny. Wait, is this an emote of his now?
I think so, or it will be soon.
This is like my 7th emote on Twitch. That's funny. So is this Prime Blur? Is that the emote?
I don't know. I think so.
That's fun.
How sick would it be if Korea got into Melee? I think it'd be sick.
It'd be freaking sick. Same with any other region, but in Korea in particular, it'd be freaking sick. So then we have Korea Pro teams. It'd be crazy, and we'd all be losing. It'd be awesome.
Can we talk about Big House 5, Doubles and Crews? I'm guessing they're saying Big House 6, but we will talk about it next week.
Yeah, we're previewing Big House next time.
Do you think that guys, that our disagreements with the historical top 10 rankings is due to the fact that the rankings judge performance, while we judge skill because you knew the players personally and were there for friendlies and live viewings?
So I think there's 3 factors that go into it. One is that the pool's results for money of that era is lost, and we take that into account. 2, yes, we were there in the era, and so in that era, that sort of stuff mattered more. 3, they seem to value local results a little bit more than we do, at least for that era. 4, sometimes we just disagree. I think there's also that.
Yeah. And there's also the fact that they didn't play very often, so it's hard to extrapolate much off of a small amount of sets. And yeah, you can go with, okay, well here's what the limited data says, but it's like when we get to hand watch 1 to 2 hour sessions between the top players in private, it's a lot more indicative of what we see from those experiences.
I still think, before Edwin's freaking out in the chat, we're not being haters. We really like the series. It's awesome. We're happy we're discussing it. You're doing something that we're too lazy to do, and it's extremely good content for the community.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever stated we hated the content. I think we've emphasized that we love the content.
No, we love the content.
I mean, we never said that we hated it. We just disagree, and I don't think
we talk about it, but we, as the Melee scholars that we are, just like our fellow scholar over there, Edwin Budding, we just have a professional disagreement on certain things. But that doesn't mean that he's wrong. It just means that we interpret history differently. We interpret that era differently, and that's fine. It's not, That's the beauty of sports, right? People debate who's better between two players all the time, right? Like, that's like the point of the discussion. But it's a discussion that's valuable more than the ranking. So.
Did we get to see Trillium versus Nunn Grand Finals from Well Played? Any thoughts on Trillium's play? I mean, I think I was impressed with him ever since he beat DJ Nintendo at that one tournament, and I've been loosely following.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but did he beat Nunn?
I think he did. I'm not 100% sure.
I know it just got put on the front page of Reddit. I was gonna watch it later, but I don't know what happened. So.
Yeah.
If he beat Nunn, we're very impressed. Is the answer?
Yeah. Can we each give our 6 voted-in players that we want? Wait, okay, so they want to say who do we think it will be and who do we want it to be. So those are pretty too.
Okay, so that's actually a really good discussion topic. I do think we should do that. What are the 10?
So we have the 5 of the big 6 minus PB. And then we have Plup, SFAT, Westfall's Axtroomed.
Okay. So Westfall's Axtroomed, Plup, SFAT.
I mean, I think I'd put Wizzy there.
Wizzy would be good.
Trying to think of people that. I mean, I want PPU. I mean, I'll go ahead and do mine. I want Wizzy there. Just change pace. He's never been there. PPU for doubles.
Oh no, I would really want PPU because of doubles. PPU absolutely 100% because of doubles.
Let's see.
Ain't good singles, but like doubles absolutely PPU.
I would put S2J there because I love S2J. And he and Mango wouldn't have an awkward doubles partner.
Yeah, S2J. Lucky would also be okay just to have a Mango doubles partner.
Yeah.
So both are good.
I want an international player there, at least one. So I guess Ice.
Ice. I doubt we can get. If we can get like a Japanese guy, maybe, I don't know.
Amsa's so busy, so I don't think.
Amsa's busy. What about Rudolph, man? Let's go.
Rudolph, that'd be really fun.
Maybe a Latin American guy.
Dude, it would be so sick if we got Dark.
Dark would be freaking sick. Hobby would also be sick.
Interesting. Duck.
Duck. I think there's a very high chance that none makes it in.
Dude, we could potentially have 3 Falcons.
Yeah. I actually think none might as well be a lock to me. I you should never call someone a lock to make it in, but I think Pew Pew and none are gonna make it in.
Yeah.
I think Pew Pew's gonna make it in because doubles. So he should.
So I know Hugs splits the Norwalk vote up, but his stream fan base is actually quite large.
Hugs might make it in because of stream kids.
Yeah. And if we need no one from Tri-State, New England, or like Georgia or Texas are represented, I'd imagine that one person would get in from that
area. Maybe Drug Club.
The yearly Swedish Delight.
Yeah, Swedish might make it in. It would still be Swedish, right?
I think the Moon would take it.
Oh yeah, because they would give it to Moon this time. The New York vote would change to Moon probably.
Yeah. And there's Drug Fox.
So, I would want to see Moon make it. Moon, Pew Pew, None, Wizzy, Ice, and
we gotta always have that unexpected, like, borderline top 50 player or memester.
And some, yeah, or just add like a SoCal guy to even up teams with Mango.
Would
Yeah.
Chudat be the memester this year? Even though he's
You can easily make it in. People
he's like
love
a
Chu.
top 25 player. So, but he would like he would rally all the memesters. So I think he's the memester, but even though he's also like a top 25 player.
Yeah. Okay? So who's the Midwest vote for?
Duck,
So do you think Doug makes it in?
maybe. Because Dart's not going to be in the Air Force, and I think he'd be like the other lightly candidate.
Yeah. Doug could make it in just because he has a whole Midwest behind him, right?
Yeah.
So that'd be big. Yeah. I would love it if we get some international though in that mix.
Yeah. Upon the return of PPMD, how long do you think it would take him to be a top 6 player again? Ugh. I hope people aren't super optimistic about this. Like he's gonna get top 6 at the first event.
I think probably like 6 months to a year.
Mainly, he would have to like overcome Plup in SVAT.
I think it depends on how active he is during that time. If him coming back, quote unquote, is going to one tournament every 3 months or 4 months, then it will take him a very long time.
Yeah.
I think then it will take him a year plus, like a year to a year and a half. If him coming back means he actually is like active again, like going to at least a tournament a month, then I do think it'll take him like 6 months.
When's the last time he's been like active like that though? Like 2013? Because even in 2014, he entered like
2015 was pretty active, no?
no. I mean, he from Apex. He didn't enter a single event from Apex to Skatar.
Is that true?
Yeah. He may have entered like one small event between that, but like he didn't have a single MLG point until Skatar 3, which was like a 5-month window.
But he still like went to locals in 2014.
Not very often.
Interesting. Well, 2013 he definitely went to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking at his Smash Wiki article. I think you're wrong. 2014 he's going to stuff. In February 1st, he went to NCSU. At February 15th, he went to Heroes of Smash. March, he went to Midwest Massacre. He went to Civil War, UNC Game Fest, Geeksboro, Smash Weekend. He was going to something like almost every weekend, dude.
Yeah.
In 2013. So no, I think you're wrong on that one. Where like he went to more things in 2014 than he has since.
I think in 2014 he only went to like 8 events.
No, I'm looking at the article. 2014 he went to like 15.
He did.
More. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Okay.
15. Yeah. No, that's fine. 15 is a good amount. Like, a lot of them were smaller, but like I'm sure there's more that the freaking wiki article doesn't cover. 14, he was all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, it wasn't as active as I think some of his earlier career, which he was basically fiending, right? But yeah, it was really in 2015 and 16 where he definitely did go to stuff.
Yeah, but the scary thing is that he had like random 2-month gaps. Maybe there's some locals he went to.
Yeah. Now, a lot of 2014, I remember the second half of it, he was less active. But the first half especially, he was active. Which I think might have been the best PP. Right? Early 2014?
Yeah. That's when we had him as like number 1, right?
Many considered him number 1.
Well, like it wasn't consensus, but like you had a really good case to put him at number 1.
Yeah, because he won Apex.
Yeah. And everyone came back and won Skatar, so.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Thoughts on Lucky's 2016? Where would you put him? And do you think he has had a bad 2016 or just uneventful under the radar? Personally, I think he just went uneventful. I think he didn't have that one really, really good performance that like other people have. I mean, I put him around like top 15.
Yeah, upper end of it. I mean, I don't think he's like, yeah, yeah, top 15, somewhere in there.
All right. Regional crew battles are mostly for the fans, but with actual prize money on the line. Should there be concrete rules on eligibility? Should MTK and HBox be allowed on the same crew at 8 Big House? I think I made Muta King rage because I shared what I thought about it.
What'd you think about it?
I mean, I just thought that it's fine if Muta King enters based on residency, but if that's the rule, then I don't think Hungrybox should be allowed.
Correct.
And that was my opinion, and I got put on blast apparently.
Why? What do you think?
He was like, "Oh, you're Cali biased. You just want everything good for California. You're just trying to manipulate things."
So he just doesn't address your point and then attacks you personally.
He literally just attacked me, and I was aggressive in response. So like, I'm like, Muta King, you're hardly like you're hardly the level-headed guy. You've always been biased too. So.
Oh, this sounds like a productive discussion.
It was not very productive.
This is just two adults talking, right?
Yes.
Nice.
So I don't know. That's my thoughts. Like, if you're gonna argue region or regional eligible residency rules, then I don't think Hungrybox should be allowed. And if you're going based on reputation of where you think people belong, then you allow Hungrybox but not Muta King. Because who thinks Muta King is Florida for Melee?
Yeah, he's a tri-state guy.
No one thinks of Muta King as a Florida.
Yeah.
We think of him as tri-state. At least I do. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
If I were really like California biased, I would have lobbied for Muta King at MLG Anaheim.
I think that's where the it's going to end up being. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't talked to Rob about it yet.
I think they're allowing both.
They're allowing both of them?
Yeah.
Why?
From what I heard. I don't know if it's official, but that's what I heard.
I guess I got to talk to Rob about it.
So, if I were...
That's nonsense, right?
So they're going to win, so...
I mean, but HBox doesn't live in Florida, and like, what are the rules? Come on now.
I think it just presents a larger issue that there has to be firm rules. Hungrybox, says he's moving back, but I don't think he's lived in Florida for like the entire year since last Big House.
Yeah. I'm okay with HBox being Florida. If you go by like historic...
Who they should represent, or like who are they associated with.
There's some sort of thing like that, right? But then Muta King shouldn't be it.
Yeah. So that's my logic. You can call me California biased, but my defense to that is if I were really California biased and West Coast biased, I would have lobbied and tried to get Muta King on the MLG Anaheim crew for West Coast because he lived in the West Coast that entire year.
So, I mean, you could make the argument that, hey, you can be in any crew that you've, like, lived in the last 2 years, and then they would both fall in, right? There are criteria where they both fall in.
I mean, like, the big thing here is, like, is Florida even happy winning under those circumstances? Do you think Gatsu is going to be happy that Florida won with Muta King and Hungrybox?
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion they're going to win. But they're probably going to win. I don't know. I think 5v5 crew battles are really heavily lean. Like, if they're more top-heavy, so having Muta King Hungrybox is just going to be very difficult to overcome.
Have you seen the Super Melee rankings?
I don't know what that is.
Alright, I'll just post it in the chat. Alright, we're going to skip that question. It's just another ranking system, and they're asking, like, how do we feel about numerical approach to tournament tier theory? I guess a tournament tier theory is that, like, 1 to 10 rating scale.
This numerical approach has West Bulls both left.
Yeah, but Leffen hasn't attended much either. I'm at 28, and I'm behind paper. Okay, I already disagree with this.
So there's something fishy about the numbers, bro.
I'm behind paper. I'm behind... Gatsu's at 149.
Why does Drug Fox do so well on all these formulas still?
Because of tipped off 11.
They go. I thought aren't they this? Don't they take data from this year?
No, they take it from the last 12 months.
And that's enough.
Tipped off 11, HTC throwdown.
Everything since then just doesn't matter.
I mean, just because the HTC throwdown, like if you make a long at tipped off 11, or like just in general, if you come from make a large losers bracket run, you're playing 2 times the sets, and if you won through it all, like it's really favorable.
Okay, anyway, I'm not gonna look at this much longer, but it looks fishy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a good enough formula. I'm behind Juggle Guy for some reason. That's cool.
What is this diamond, gold, silver, bronze? Someone tell me what's going on here. Jeez.
I think they're self-explanatory. Alright, anyway. Does Trillion have a good resume for the top 100? He beat DJ Nintendo, None, and Professor Pro, and has good 25th at Gommel. I mean, I have to put an asterisk over None, and I always say this, like, I want to see their overall set count. So if None is like 15-1 against, or 15-2 against Trillium, then I don't really consider that win to be very special. But the DJ Nintendo Professor Pro wins are pretty.
That's not special.
Because, like, if you're 2-15 against like None, that means you have a win rate of like 11-12%.
Yeah,
that's like me bragging that I beat Lucky.
You're probably a. I mean, you're still good though. Like you could take sets off None.
Yeah, but like how many people can also do that if they were given like 18 chances?
Probably not 100 people.
And he lost to that random guy in Europe recently.
Maybe. I don't know. I think yes, his win rate against None isn't good. That doesn't mean he's not top 100. Like,
but that's like maybe it's a lot better than that.
That just means he's clearly ranked below None, right? Like, I think that's everyone knows that.
Yeah. But then we kind of get DJ Nintendo syndrome. No offense to DJ. The biggest complaint I got on one of the years was there were like 10 different people that messaged me and said like, why am I not on the top 100? I beat DJ Nintendo.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, sure. Like,
shots.
No,
shots.
That's literally what happened. I'm not even trying to shoot shots, but that was the most vivid example.
That was like a small shot.
It was a small shot. Maybe I could have left the names anonymous, but like literally 10 different people from Tri-State messaged me and said, this list sucks. Like, I beat DJ Nintendo, who's on the list. And like 10 different people messaged me that from the East Coast, like this 1 year.
Oh, right.
And so, I mean, it's okay. I think...
Funny as that is, I think, I didn't know, did Ares beat None?
Yeah.
Dude, Ares, is he a god?
He might be.
Is he God of War? That's the best in Austria. We talked about Austria before on the show, right?
Yeah, beat it.
Yeah, man. Maybe they're just legendary. Maybe.
I mean, we can't. I mean, it's a possibility, right?
Yeah. So, I don't think if someone who's best at their entire is a random.
But like, there are probably like 500 people that have probably taken a set off of a top 100 candidate. Is the point I'm getting at.
Sure. Man, I don't think that's that high. I think it's probably closer to 200.
I think it's like 400.
Whatever. Okay, next question.
All right. Why isn't 20xXTE more widely used at major tournaments?
Did you see that back air thing?
Well, it was an outdated version.
Doesn't matter. The first 6 months of its release were stuff like that, and then everyone was like, "Dude, I don't want to run a tournament set on it." So it's just not additive enough. Like, I love Dan. Dan knows I love him. It just doesn't add enough to
warrant the risk.
To worth the why. Like, I don't know. At least for me, I'm just like, why? I don't need to. Why do I need to do this? I can never be 100% certain that the build is quote unquote stable. As definitely not as much as they can be about Vanilla Melee. So to me, that's worth everything.
We got another sub. We got a lot of subs today, or at least I did. I'm sorry, Blair.
Oh, sub Oscar. I think he's a sub of mine too. So up, homie?
Number one spot for 2016 is so highly contested this late into the year. What would it take for each of the three candidates to make a convincing argument of the top spot at the end of the year?
Winning.
Yeah, I think so. I think whoever wins the majority of the events is going to probably jump to number one. It's so close that like you can do that.
It's not that close, is it? It still could only be like 4 people.
I mean, I'm just picturing like the top three in my head.
You mean H-Box, Mango, or Mono? And Leffen could kind of do it, but he can't really. So those 3 people could do it. Mango is the farthest out. You pretty much have to sweep the board, right?
What was that?
Mango would pretty much have to sweep the board, close to it.
You know, I honestly don't think so. And the reason why...
Mango would have to win 60%, I would say, of the remaining events.
I think the main thing for me is when I look at like what's happened in the past like 2 months, like Armada has like kind of defaulted his way into like maintaining his position. So he needs to like kind of finish strong to take it. Hungrybox, frankly, hasn't looked the greatest either outside of Evo, if you really like think about it. In the past like 2 to 3 months.
It's freaking ridiculous.
What was that?
But his first half of the year up to Evo is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, basically, if they all trade and everyone goes even, Hungrybox gets it.
Yeah.
So there's Big House, Eclipse, Candy Cup, Summit, STR, DreamHack winner, UC, Don't Bark, and Eat It.
But like, if Mega wins like 3 events, like I think.
So let me count them actually. Big House, of the ones I think many of them are going to. Big House, Canada Cup, Summit, DreamHack winner, UGC, and then like Don't Park. It's hard to say how many are going.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put it as a number 6, right?
Yeah. But I think if Mingo wins 3 of those, I think he takes it. If Hungrybox doesn't win 3,
Oh, I don't know.
If Hungrybox wins like 1 and Mingo wins 3,
I don't think that's enough.
because here's what I think so. A lot of Hungrybox's wins were just like one other god tournaments. If Mingo wins 3 of those events, those are multi-god, like 3 other god tournaments.
Those events that H-Box won were on Mango.
Some were me-taking.
Some were mutual. But still, like...
But like even then, like...
Okay, so overall, Mango would have 3 wins there, plus he has like, what, 2 other tournament wins for the year? 5 tournament wins. Hungrybox has like double that.
He has 7.
But you say he wins 1 more. He has at least 8. And he has Evo, so he'd have a bigger one. You have a bigger capstone and 1 more events. I think the only argument you'd have is if somehow Hungrybox bombs those other 5 and loses the head-to-head.
Like, because if Mingo wins, like, what, Summit, DreamHack, and something else in the UGC event, you don't think that's not significant?
Well, I think he'd have to win Big House, first of all. I don't think he's ranked number 1 if he doesn't win one of Evo, Genesis, or Big House.
I think DreamHack winner is pretty significant.
It is significant, but, like...
And we also, like, forget that the Mango H-Box head-to-head's, like, actually really close at this point. It's 8-9.
Sure.
Like, what if Mango...
I think. Look, I don't think we're disagreeing much. I think that Mango has to win 4 or 5 of those 6, actually.
I think that's really unrealistic.
I think it's unrealistic. I don't think it's realistic that he's going to get first.
What if Mango wins 3 and Hungrybox doesn't win any?
Then it's more possible. But if you're saying Hungrybox wins 1, that might just be enough to carry him. Because Hungrybox is significantly far ahead.
I think the big thing for me is, like, I think I just view those 3 events that he could win in this, like, next 3 months to be significant over, like, more significant over, like, 5 of Hungrybox's wins. Like, all those 3 events that Mango could win right now would be better wins than 5 of the tournaments that Hungrybox has won.
Well, yes, in the sense that I think many of those events are going to have 4 or 5 gods. Right?
Yeah.
No, in the sense that I think those events are going to be within the span of a month and a half.
That's fair.
And like it's hard for me to say if someone. So is he the best of the year, or is he the best of a month and a half? You know, because he's clearly not the best of the year, of the remainder of the year.
I mean, but to be fair, Mingo's like on like second at a lot of these events. He's outplaced $100 a lot over the summer.
Sure. But he hasn't had a better year. There's no way you can say that. Right?
I mean, but like if you go from SmashCon on and Mingo outplaces $100 at almost all the events, then it's kind of a tough argument to say that the first half carried $100.
I mean, okay. I mean, like, look, if $100 bombs the remainder and Mango get wins 3-5, then absolutely, I think that he would have a very strong case. And Mango still has enough time to become number one, but he has to run the table. And I think he really needs to win Big House of the bunch.
Now, what's interesting though is what if Mingo just flat doesn't win everything, but like outplaces $100 at everything?
Then $100 gets it.
It's a little tough because I don't know. Like, what if $100 keeps getting like fourth and fifth?
Then I'd still give it like. That's not a complete bomb, right?
What if he like misses top 8 a few times?
Then it doesn't go to him.
So that
like just completely a few times completely bombs, then yeah. Like, I mean, we're talking about complete bombs. We're talking about what the Fox level bombs.
Yeah, it's fair.
But
I just want to see where your lines are. Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah. That's my opinion at least. Then for Armada, I think he has less of a. You know, if Armada wins 2 to 3 of these, that'd be a good end of the year, right? I think all these guys should want to win like 2 to 3 of these, right? That would roughly, like, if Xbox wins 2 or more, he pretty much gets it.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for him at this point. I think after Evo, he's kind of lost some motivation, and he lives in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Now if he wins one, Xbox only wins one of these 6, then he leaves the door open, especially for Armada. But if he wins, I think even 2, that's probably good enough, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, if Armada wins probably a majority or even half, he would probably be back in the conversation. Just because you look at Genesis, beginning of the year, it's kind of like ever since Genesis, nothing really too convincing. But
I mean, if you look from May to now, you can actually make a case that Mango's done better.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's true.
Like $100. I mean, I think Armada's kind of coasting on reputation. So I think the biggest challenge I see for him is that he's no longer the first seed at events. So $100 might just by default having King instead of a Mango or a Armada, like, just be able to win some of these events.
That's another thing, right? I think that my prediction is I think Hungrybox is going to get top 3 at like all these. So that's another thing, right? Like, I don't think Hungrybox is tight. Like, yes, he bombed it with the Fox, but this guy doesn't bomb events generally.
He's
so
bombed
like
2 events. I mean, he kind of bombed Shine too.
Yeah. By his level, sure.
By the level you would expect from a number 1 candidate.
Yeah.
It's a good performance, but not a great one if you're aiming for number 1.
Yeah. So, I think it's a 3-man race unless Leffen gets a visa.
Dude,
and
what if
wins
Leffen just like won everything? What if Leffen just won everything, man?
If Leffen wins all 6 and gets a visa, we'd have a freaking conversation.
I mean, he won Gommel too.
Would he be 1? If he wins all 6, would he be 1?
I might have to give it to him, man. That's 3 months plus Gommel. And he would have a ludicrous win record on everybody. He'd be like, I don't know, like 20-something in like 5 against the Big 6. How can you can't, it's hard to make an argument against that.
We definitely think about it.
Like if he went 20-something.
The argument would be that He did. He only was active for freaking 2 months.
But going 20-something and 5 against Big Six.
Yeah.
That's a really hard... That's really
Anyway,
hard to argue
it only
against.
seems that he needs to get a freaking visa, so we'll see.
Yeah. Left is on fire. It would be interesting, though, because if Mega wins Big House, then you have kind of each person take a lion's share of the biggest events with Big House, Evo, and Gommel, and Genesis. I keep... Genesis, Gommel, Evo, Big House would technically all be won by different players.
That'd be crazy, right?
Yeah. And if BT King swept all the events, then I think I'd have to give him number 1, too.
Really?
If he swept 6 events...
And he had Shine, yeah.
And
I mean, you basically stand from end of August to end of year, he's the best in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time. And he did good enough for the rest.
I mean, outside of a few blunders early in the year, like, by BT King standards, by the way, he hasn't done bad for himself. I mean, like, he's, top 5ing most events, so it's not like he would be out. Like, he doesn't have any gross, poor performances.
But we'd have to think about it. Like, I don't even think.
You have to think of like how hard it is to get a sweep, though. It's very unlikely any of these. It's like a non-conversation for me, to be honest. It's so unlikely that.
Yeah, it's just he's not gonna sweep. Lebanon and Music aren't gonna sweep. It's a 3-man race, is the way I look at it.
Yeah. Because that's like almost like winning the lottery. Like, I don't know what the odds of. I mean, if you assume like all of them are equal chance and they all win, was it like 6 to the 6 of a player sweeping all?
I mean, it's not a chance game. It's freaking Melee. Melee is the least chance game we have in esports. So.
Is it like 1 out of like 65,000 or something? I don't know. I don't know the odds.
Some crazy number.
It's something really. I'm gonna just do. Actually, it's not that high. But let me see. 6 to the 6. Yeah, if all 6 gods had an equal chance and they all attended, and you wanted one god to win all 6, it's a 1 out of 46,656 chance.
Dang.
Yeah, that's pretty much a non-conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
That's an interesting one. Last question of the night. Melee doubles get significantly less viewership than singles at G3. Okay, God, I hate when it's hard to read the question because it's like not grammatically like flowy. Okay, I'm going to reread it. Melee doubles get significantly less viewership than singles at G3. Doubles peaked at 35K on Saturday and 29K Sunday at Smash Summit 2. Okay, I don't see the question.
What's the question?
I don't know. I guess he's trying to make the claim that doubles gets less viewership than singles, which I don't think we disagree with. It's factually true. Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Thank you for the stat.
Thanks, man.
All right. So
All right.
That's it. Thank you for the bomb closing question.
That's a word. Do we have to close it on that question?
No, we're gonna find another question.
Someone ask us a question. Come on.
What an ending, guys.
What an ending. Listen, I just want one question. That's all I ask.
That was like the
one question.
That's like the saddest way to end it.
It was the worst way to end it. Can we just get one question? Stream, you can do one question for me. Oh, maybe they can't.
All right, we're gonna pick the best question out of like the things we see in this chat. You're gonna pick the question. Hey, E.
Let's do E's question. E's question's good.
So the question is, how long do you realistically see
Actually, we're gonna take 2 questions because some of these questions are hella good.
Okay, I'll pick. I'm gonna steal the EE question. How long do you think you realistically see Melee being around? So for me, We've already overcome the biggest barriers, and that's sequel and almost dying. Wait, okay, I guess I need to elaborate on the question. Melee being around as in like being a prominent esport, like there's events and majors all the time with good attendance, is that the benchmark?
Yes.
Okay, we'll say that.
Like,
Melee being a relevant esport.
So let's say there's two bars. Melee being, let's say there's bar 1 is Melee being 2010 levels, as an existing but on life support, and bar 2 is continuing at 2015/2016 or higher levels. Right, like right now what we are is super healthy. Right?
So to go back to 2010 levels, I think it would take a minimum of like 20 years for that to happen.
Well, you think we're not going to get to all the way back there for 20 plus years now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because that means we'd have to have like what, like a 80-90% loss? If you think about our numbers.
That's a good point.
Like, it's pretty... I just see too many diehard fanatics that like I don't see us losing 90% of our player base anytime soon.
Other games have.
But like they had like a pretty good reason to it, right?
Yeah. They all have really, really... We could have a really good reason. Like CRTs don't exist.
I think they exist for another 20 years.
What?
Or at the very least, we use the Wii U setups. Or the Wii to HDMI setups. I think if it comes down to that tragic point, I think players would understand we need to use LCDs.
Yeah.
Like if it came down to the point where we literally can run events, then I think that's like when they would come in. As far as 2015 levels, I would say we have another...
Or higher.
We have another 8 years.
Dang. Mr. Optimistic Tapo.
I'm pretty optimistic about it. I mean, I just look... We're not attritioning very much in the sense that we're losing people. And we're still having new people in. I'm not saying that we're going to grow exponentially by any means. But I think we maintained a 2015 level for like 8 years.
Okay.
So I'm optimistic.
All right. So,
what about you?
Here's my opinion. I think that so there is only two things that could stop us from playing the Melee as... There's only three things that can stop us from playing the Melee as we know it. One, a sequel or HD remake that fractures are seen enough to be able to warrant a change. This may or may not be a good thing for our scene if the HD remake is 100%, satisfactory, not like it's a perfect copy or close enough. I hate to say that. Then that might be a good thing. A sequel also with the same mechanics might also fracture us enough. That is number one. This also goes for games which are spiritual, i.e., they don't have to be Nintendo games, but if a third party comes in, it creates a game similar enough to Melee, right? That people really, really like. That could potentially affect things. Number two is technological limitations. I don't think these will ever really stop us, like CRTs and GameCubes and stuff. I think we would just move on to emulators and make our way. But I think it would drastically impede our ability to gain sponsorship and support. We have to find new ways, and it'd get harder and harder for players to play. It's already hard for players to play. You look at Amazon right now and try to get Melee. You probably spend over $200, $300 just for the game disc. So it is really difficult. So I think that a lot of players are resorting to
pirating.
Yeah, pirating and those alternate methods. If it gets even more arduous, that could affect our community. If it becomes easier, then maybe not. And then I think the third way is if there is some sort of technological or governmental disruption in society that like makes competitive video games not altogether that important, right? So, doomsday scenario. So those are three things I see potentially affecting this stuff, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean doomsday. It can also mean like, hey, virtual reality comes out and then none of us leave our freaking rooms, right? That's good enough sometimes, you know, like, or like stuff that like would potentially lessen the entertainment value of our game. So, but I don't really see any of those as primary threats, right? Like, the biggest threats I see is ecosystem threats, which are like how we are going about building sustainability in our industry, and if we are making a bubble, and especially in our event industry, from outside influences, if we can sustain growth, things like that. Like those to me are the difference of whether we grow or we don't grow. But I truly think that a game that isn't growing rapidly in the internet age is actually, in a way, dying and losing, right? Like, on the internet, it's really easy to grow, but it's hard to grow fast, right? So to answer the question, I think that by all accounts, Melee should be around in 100 years. I think it's possible. It is actually possible. But it takes a lot to get there. It would take a lot of work to get there. I think that we can almost coast and for another 2-3 years, and it's unlikely. There's no way in 2-3 years, even if we're coasting. I think even if some of the community leaders left, and like if we had major TOs back away from the scene, we'd still coast for another 2-3 years at roughly this size or bigger, right? Like Evo, we'd still be in Evo, right? So like that would be something. We'd still be at a few of the mainstay events, right? Like we could have TOs leave, we could have certain commentators, personalities leave, we could have leaders leave, and we still coast for another 2 years, I think, right? Like no one person or influence is big enough to make us lose the sort of momentum and player base we have now, right? But I do think that those factors would make us stop growing, and we wouldn't reach the height and potential that we really should have, right? Now I don't think anyone's going to leave, and I don't think that the people that really care about the game want to leave. So I fully expect us to never really go back. I actually think that it's very unlikely that we will ever get back to 2010 size. I think that it will never happen again.
So you're more optimistic than me.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever go back in that sense.
Dang, your reaction to my answer seemed like I was the crazy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, but that's the caveat, right? I think that if we stop working, we only have a 2-year timeline. Like if the key people leave, commentators leave, top players start retiring, things like that. If like big shifts happen like that, and those can happen for a number of reasons, right? Then I think it's only like a 2-year gap, and I think new faces and new leaders would emerge, but they would probably not do as good of a job, and then it would slow.
I think as good businessmen and knowing how we manage our resources, I think we'd be able to adapt.
What do you mean?
Like, because if we're looking at this like from an asset standpoint, not that like I want to eliminate like the community special, like top players leaving is like assets, right? To like what make your game good. Like if we're looking at it from business, or some commentators leave, I feel like we'd be smart enough to be able to pivot and be able to adjust.
Yeah, like, but the thing is, if enough of those people leave, right? Like, let's say you take the 7 or 8 most important people in Smash leadership, and they all do other things, right?
Yeah.
that would be. I think then I don't know if we'd make it past 2 years.
Yeah.
It would be very, very difficult.
What would the odds of that happening be?
0.
We love the game too much, and all of us have fought the battles when we weren't relevant.
Yeah, so I don't think that's happening. I don't think the casters want to leave. They all are pretty stuck with Smash.
We lose Scar though.
I don't think we're losing Scar. I think Scar's gonna take care of his kid for 6 months to a year, and then he's gonna be back. Scar's not going anywhere. I think we're gonna see Scar when he's 45 and casting events, bro. That's my opinion. And I would like to think that hopefully maybe I'm going to be doing that. I don't know. I don't ever really want to leave. But even if one person leaves or declines, it's not a big deal. I'm saying if a lot of them, right, at the same time or within the same 2 to 3 year stretch, then it's a big deal, right? But for the most part, people can fill the gaps and get it would still be okay. And then we're seeing this not depend on outside influence so much, but it obviously we wouldn't be able to sustain our current levels if that stuff left, right? Mm-hmm. So that's another factor, but we have so little outside influence right now that it's not that big a factor.
Yeah,
it's mostly just player sustainability. It's the player contracts, that's our outside influence. I guess the question is, what would cause an incredible decrease in attendance and interest in the low level? And we have not seen that at all, and our retention rate's really high.
I feel like no matter what we do, people keep coming.
The game's hella good. But I don't think it's no matter what we do. I think it's let's say we have a 3-month stretch where we have only one major or one tournament. So we have basically a content drought for a while. The metagame gets really lame for whatever reason. I don't know why.
The Honeybox Armada 2012 era was actually pretty hard to watch.
Sure. And the top casters aren't getting paid, so we stop having that going on, and then personalities stop making content for similar reasons. A few top teams pull out because they see declining viewership, or they're not getting enough investment back. So we lose a few pros. Yeah, it could happen. I feel like
we're thinking of 0.0000001% things.
Yeah, we're pretty good. Look, I think it's unlikely that we don't exist in 10 years. It's almost impossible. Like I said, the things that could do it are like a straight man HG or otherwise, but I think that means we're still existing. We're just existing with a slightly different game, or even if it's the same game. If it's a true melee HG, then it's the same game. So I don't know. It could happen. It could happen. I don't want to write it off, but it's unlikely. I don't think we're ever getting back to 2010 levels. The honest truth, and I think that's the dopest part about being part of the scene. Most of the esports, you can't see that.
I think we answered that pretty nice. Yeah. Alrighty. Want to cut it off here?
Sure.
Alrighty. Well, I thought of something kind of cool and ridiculous. You know how our stills are ridiculous and they suck all the time?
Yeah.
So let's do this, and I'm gonna freeze frame it, and this is gonna.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I forgot you can't see me. How do I take a picture of the stream using XSplit?
I don't know.
I
Dude,
can't.
why don't you just have a community member make us a friggin' thumbnail?
Let's do that. Alright, somebody make us a good Twitch
Wait,
thumbnail.
I look forward in this thing. I don't want to... What was it? No. One of the I'm ejaculating.
What was that?
I think it was the Commentator Chris 14. I look like I'm ejaculating. What's wrong with you, Holly?
It's actually, so I actually have 1,000 on my hands right now.
Oh.
Shouts to Tian.
Wow!
This is the Tian shot. So let's see, 5, 6. How do I show it? So I have 5 here. I don't know how to show it. I'm really bad at like reflecting. I have 500 in this hand. I'm hoping that you guys can see it.
We end the show.
I mean, I have 500 in this.
I hate you.
Is it 900? No, I had 600 in this hand. All right. So good night, everybody.
Peace!